Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is the Spurs review, but just 24 hours earlier because I can't make tomorrow night. And if I can't make it, it's kind of pointless having it. Don't worry, everyone. Before we get started talking about tonight's game, I just want to let you all know that Savio has started following Pedro Porro on X. So we are due for a here we go very soon. Just so you know, that's how it works. We're due for a here we go very soon. Chris, Lubo, Maz, Danny Kiriakou, whoever else joins in tonight. How are we, chaps? Everyone happy? Everyone happy with Thomas Frank and the score? All good?
Yeah.
Brilliant. No,
well, that's that show then, isn't it?
Let's end the show.
No complaints. End the show, Dave. End the show. Listen, let's start as we go on. Guys and girls, as you know, we've got new sponsors on the channel, okjersey.com. If you click on their email or if you scan the QR code, you can get replica football kits at £15. And if you type in Savva into where it's asked for a coupon, Savva with 2 V's, by the way, the number of people who can't spell it, it's quite frightening. If you type in Savva, you will get 6% more off the £15 you're already paying. So please do follow okjersey.com and get your replica kits there. Anyway, as we mean to go on, let's start. So Tottenham Hotspur have beaten Man City 2-0 away. Let me start with Maz. Maz, we all said it was only Burnley. It was only Burnley, but he got the win. Bigger tests. We've gone to Man City and thoroughly deserved the win, in my opinion. What are you making of today? And what do you think about the team? And give me a rundown, Maz.
kind of getting used to beating Man City. It's kind of like every season now, isn't it? So it's an incredible.
It's not on a negative. It's only Man City, lads. It's only Man City.
That's it. The first thing I was surprised was there's actually fans in the stadium. That was a shock. Normally it's quite empty. So there's that. That's the first thing. No, it was. I honestly, I sort of kind of knew what to expect because we obviously played those friendlies where they look like quite competitive games, even though they're friendlies. And then we obviously had the final against PSG. So we know what to expect now, even though it's early doors. And the team lineup, I think, was pretty predictable. I was kind of surprised to see Johnson in the team, but then who else was he going to play there? So I guess Johnson had to start. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the result was fantastic. I think the most shocking thing about today is just how solid and consistent we were. There was no real ups and downs. There was no incredibly shaky moments where you felt out of control. It wasn't like one of those defensive displays where we didn't have any of the ball. We had decent amounts of possession. There was, several good performances, especially from the midfield three. Yeah, it's superb. So superb, really. Delighted with it. I mean, like you said, there's so many positives. It's hard to know where to really begin with the positives. But one thing I will say, because I have to end on a negative, of course. Johnson has got to be one of the worst Spurs players I've seen. Yet he scores. He scores all the time. Yet he's so bad. He's so bad, but he scores.
I know.
And it's just disgusting, isn't it?
Somebody said to me today and said, "Is he the best, worst player you've ever seen?" Was that you who said that?
Yeah, it was me. I sent you a text and said he's the best player I've ever seen.
I remember seeing it.
And the thing is, as well, the amount of times that he was running, and he's the fastest slow player I've ever seen as well.
Yeah.
But he knows where the 6-yard box is. He does, and it's a skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows where it is, right? Look, let me.
He does.
Let me come, Chris. Let me come to you, mate. Look, you drove up there via Coventry. You lucky bugger, you going to Coventry and Manchester all in the same day. Hey, don't say you don't ever have a good time. Listen, a lot of people were saying, "Oh my God, oh, hang on, he's not done the 5 at the back. We thought he was going to do the wing backs." Everyone said, "Oh, hang on, it's going to be tough." But he's mixed it up for the 3rd game in a row, different tactics, and we looked phenomenal, didn't we, Chris? It was brilliant.
Yeah, I was intrigued to see what he was going to go with. I genuinely couldn't call whether he was going to go with a back 3 or 5 or 4 as he did. But you've got to say he's got everything spot on, hasn't he? And like Maz says, I'm sure we'll get into it more detail and we can talk about sort of all the players. But to a man, they were absolutely superb today. And I think I sort of semi-learned something, or I learned how to explain something that I've said before better today. So like when we were talking last season, I always used to not talk so much about, and even when Frank came in, about what's acceptable, what isn't. And I always said, it's not about that for me. It's about going to games. And I always talked about remembering driving to Villa for the cup game last season and just thinking on the journey, what am I doing? And yeah. I can remember last season, I went to, I don't go to as many as Lubo, but I went to Forest away and hated it. I went to Liverpool away for the semi-final, hated it. I went to Villa away and I hated it. I went to Brighton away and I loved it for the first half and then I hated it. But today, just everything about it was great. And I'll sum it up. My best mate's a Man United fan. He texted me after the game and said, "I haven't seen it. How did you play?" And I'm just going to read my response to you because I think this sums it up for me. Yeah. I said, I thought they were top class, mate. They fought for everything and they gave them nothing. And that's all you can ask for. And that's when I realized, actually, I'm not that bothered how we set up. I'm not even that bothered. I have a preference, but I'm not that bothered whether we want to be really attacking and entertaining, whether we want to be defensive. What I am bothered about is I want to see the players go and put everything in. And I don't think I saw that last season. I think I saw players who were demotivated, dispirited, and that made me dispirited as a fan. And today I've gone there and I cannot knock their effort and their work rate. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And I've come away from that delighted with what I saw, but full of hope for the future. And I want the next game to come now. Last season, I dreaded the next game. But now I'm like, don't get me wrong, let's be realistic. We're not going to be doing this every week. But I talk about trajectory, and right now it feels like a really positive way forward, or I can see a positive way forward. So I'm really hopeful. Thought they were brilliant today. Can't sing their praises of the players and of Frank enough. They were top class.
Well, look, let me come to Lubo. By the way, just quickly, lots of people in the chat saying, how wrong was I about Johnson? I feel like I've been spot on about Johnson my entire time. Awful footballer, knows how to score goals. I genuinely don't know what is wrong about that opinion. He knows where the goal is. I'm not mocking that. But just as a footballer, when the ball goes to him, I'm like, you're terrible. When it comes to him in the 6-yard box, I'm like, you're going to score. I feel like that's fair. Lubo, look, you went as well. We spoke before the game. We said it was a bit of a risk going to the 4-2-3-1, but it ended up being a bit more of a 4-3-3. Third different formation we've played in 3 games. What's it like having a coach, Lubo, that you trust? Talk to me.
It's wonderful. You know, I walked out the ground today, and for the first time in a long time, you know, you're looking at next week's game. You can't wait for next week's game to come round. And I think that's, for me, I've got my love back I've got my love for match day back again, which sort of died apart from Bilbao. That was a great day. Yeah. That sort of died over the last 18 months for me. And you sort of think, and you're going, and a lot of the time you're going out of habit because you know what's coming and you know it's going to be absolute shite. But you know, it was just brilliant watching it. And I remember you texted me, didn't you, half time, and said the first 10 are crucial. And before I knew it, I looked at my watch and we were through the first 15, and we didn't really look. We weren't in any trouble. The only time they had, I think Mamouche hit a shot from 18 yards straight at Vicario. Then there was a lovely through ball when they did cut us open and Vicario came out and blocked the angle, and then Haaland in the last minute of the first half. And other than that, you know, we weren't really threatened. You know, I think it was Bernardo Silva's header that if he'd have got it more accurately, Romero switched off and Haaland would have had a tap in, and the ball landed on the top of the net, didn't it? Right near the end. Apart from that, we were in no trouble at all. Really, it was, they all fought for each other. You know, he's even got Johnson working hard now, because, you know, the biggest complaint for me has been how he left Porro exposed under Ange, you know, and vulnerable, and always 2-on-1. Even Frank's got him grafting hard, and you know, there's a work ethic there. There's a togetherness. It's superb, and I think, as much as I'm not knocking him because he's gone, but I think the fact now that you've got a captain that is desperate to win, and that goes right the way through the team now, you know, and Romero sets the level, and they're all with him. Frank's just been brilliant as a coach, just been superb. Look what he's done in 7 weeks. And it's early days. You know, we've only played 2 games. I'm not fickle over one game, Jordan. I recognise what I'm watching. So not too sure what you mean by that.
I'll call him out. Sod it. You're too polite. I'll go in on him. Fuck it. Right, Jordan. I'm going to go in on you, because do you know what? When people say shit like this, I can tell the difference between someone who understands coaching and tactics and genuine progression over people who don't understand the difference between winning one game. That's the difference. If you look through pre-season, you look at, but Lubo's undersold it there. You look, he said it's 2 games. Look at the PSG game as well. Spurs have played PSG, Arsenal, Newcastle, Bayern Munich, and Man City in the last 5 games and only lost 1 of them. Right? Now, we can talk about friendlies all we like. The Arsenal game was not played like a pre-season friendly. Right? Man City is not a pre-season friendly. It's an actual game. PSG was not a pre-season friendly. Not one of those teams other than Bayern Munich have beaten us. So I'm sorry, it's not fickle over one game. You don't understand coaching. Back to you, Lubo. I'll call him out. Fuck it.
So for me, it was the whole thing. The whole day was great. Walked out, got in the car, 7 o'clock. Just had a good feeling about today. Don't know why. No idea why. Just woke up with a decent feeling, you know, just maybe. Who knows? Easy journey up the motorway. We were picking my pal up 7:10, and we were parked up at 10:30. It was just easy. Nice. And coming back was a good. The whole day was excellent. Everything from start to finish. And you know, long may this continue. My only worry is that, again, like similar to Poch, similar to Harry, we've got a very good 11, 12, 13, and then there's a big drop off after that. And that's where they've got to bring in 2 or 3 players in the next 8 days, 9 days, and they've got to give Frank a chance. Can you imagine Frank's chances of success if he had a Bowley or a Fenway or a Kroenke? You know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No, but let's be fair to the other managers.
Instead of these football losers. I mean, seriously.
But Lubo, let's be fair to the other managers. We could say that to any of our previous managers, like not so much Ange, but like Conte, Jose, Poch. You know, if they had proper backing, like we're saying, then I think they would have been also quite.
But don't you think there's a difference, Maz, on that? Maz, don't you think there's a difference? Because see, when people say Conte and Jose, the problem is Conte and Jose want the backing to win now, like to win immediately.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Whereas I think Frank
wants to win. I mean,
hang on, let me finish. Let me finish. It's not about it's not about that Frank doesn't want to win, but with someone like Frank, we've seen this guy's done 7 years at a club. Conte and Jose, they do a couple of years, they move on. For me, I think this is just about drip feeding. If you were going to give Thomas Frank 3 or 4 players like that every summer, I think you've got something very good that we build on for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So I think there's a small difference for me. I think Poch and Harry are probably the correct benchmarks for this guy.
I think what happens or what happened with Harry and Poch is once they have a couple of successful seasons, then they're sort of expecting to take the next step and win something, aren't they?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And I think that's if Frank stays long enough, which let's hope he does, and let's hope that this isn't, a flash in the pan like it was with Ange, then hopefully he does a 3, 4, 5 year stint. And then at the end of the second season, we think, wow, okay, right now we can do something special, with his team that is assembled together. But Lubo's right. We have to, we're like one injury away or 2 injuries away from complete and utter disaster. A bit like when Bentancur, do you remember like a year and a bit back when Bentancur got injured and we were like, oh my God, the season's over. Or then Van de Ven and Romero got injured and then we were, really struggling. We're always in that danger zone, aren't we, with the way that the club is being run and how the squad is assembled, and that's my.
Maz, we saw that in the last 15 minutes against PSG, didn't we? We were too short. If we'd have had 2 more established players to come in, I think we'd have won that 2-0.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I think so.
Look,
I think
Sorry, it's quick. Let me bring in Danny and then I'll go to Benji. Welcome, Benji.
Hello, mate.
Danny, good evening. Good evening. Danny, look, it's difficult because I don't want to go back to the old manager, but this does feel very, very different. What we're seeing is kind of almost in 2 months of him being at the club. I just feel like this is a very different Tottenham, and the players for me look so much happier. I might be reading into things, but for me, the players look like they're actually united. And I don't know, am I making this up? Am I being a happy clapper? What's going on?
No. You can be a happy clapper all you want if that's what it means, Sav. But look, I personally, what I saw today, it showed me a team that wants to play for the manager, who are listening to the manager. I haven't seen Spurs control Man City the way they did today, or any team really, for a very long time. And today wasn't about. We were the better team today. There's no doubt about it. But what I saw, what was different, was the press from the front. Oh, someone got some sound on. Can you hear that?
Who's put their TV on? Someone's got their TV on.
Just mute everyone, Sav. See.
Chris, it's you.
Chris,
it's you. Chris. Chris.
He's frozen, isn't he?
No, he's not frozen.
I can see him
blinking. Yeah, he's blinking.
Okay.
Chris.
Hey.
Chris.
Oh, that's amazing.
Chris. Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
You had match of the day on. You'll get me demonetized, my man. You'll get me demonetized.
Sorry, I forgot I wasn't on mute. My fault. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Danny, sorry, mate. Go on, as you were. Sorry.
Brilliant. Oh, God, no. I was just like, today, for me, I saw a Tottenham team who just looked very confident in what they were doing. And the way they controlled Man City, they kind of stopped them playing their game in a sense. And I know Man City weren't maybe... We can't use the excuse that Man City had an off day, right? Because last week they absolutely destroyed Wolves, right?
Yeah.
So there's not a matter of off day. I think what I saw today was Tottenham controlled the way they played football, and it stopped them playing their game, and we kept getting in behind them all the time, right? And what I liked, the best thing about today was the way we pressed. It wasn't like an all-out gung-ho press. It was like they pressed when they needed to press, right? Yeah. They were very it was like very drilled pressing. It was like they did it when in certain moments, but they weren't doing it all the time to actually completely use all their energy up, right? And I think that's how they controlled City today. And for me, it was such a joy to see, because we didn't look like we were going to really give them anything, really. We had a look, every game of football, you're always going to have a team having chances. That's just football, right? So, but the fact that we limited the amount of chances that they had, and when we did have chances, we blocked them very well, right? So it was just different. The whole feeling is different in the squad. I think they're very together. And today it's more evident than ever that this manager needs some more quality in that squad, because we can all of us Spurs fans have all been here before. We have Mohamed Kudus, right? Who I'm going to steal it from Jory because he said it on a show today. I call him now the Tasmanian devil because he's uncontrollable. Like no one can handle him, right? Literally, he is an unbelievable footballer. Like on the ball, off the ball. Right, he's just unbelievable, and I think he's just going to get better and better under Frank. But if he gets injured for a long period, we are so screwed up. It's unbelievable. The drop off that we will have is ridiculous. So we have to get some kind of more players, and I don't think we're going to get enough anyway. So look, that's the only downside of today is seeing that. But I just think there's something brewing here, and with Thomas Frank, you just get this feeling that this guy, the way he coaches, the way he changes the tactics depending on the team he's playing, you can just see something special happening at Spurs. And the thing we were texting earlier on, Sav, I was going to say, right, and I'll drop it now. I actually think Thomas Frank has the potential to win a Premier League title at Spurs, right? And I'm going to say it now. And I know I've only just seen this. It's only 2 games. I'm not getting carried away. I'm not saying. Listen. I'm not gonna say. I'm going
to say what X would say. Are you on the budge?
Right. So, look, I'm not saying. Now, listen, people, that he's going to do it this year. All I am saying is that he has the potential to do it, right? But we all know, in order for him to do that, right, he needs to have a quality 25-man squad. And not just a good first 11, because even our first 11 isn't good enough, right?
But Danny, that's why he will never do it.
It's a lot of ifs, yeah, and that's what's a shame about this, about Thomas Frank, because I actually think he's such a good coach that he actually has it in him to go and do something special. But we know that he won't. It's like we can't win with this club, right? You bring in a manager.
It's the same.
The thing is, you bring in a winning manager like Jose Conte, right? You don't back him. You bring in then a coach who's actually going to coach the team, but he still needs that backing, and you still don't do it. So it's like, what do you fucking want? Do you know what I mean?
Danny, I'm glad you raised this point, because when you look at how close Poch got, I think one of the reasons why Poch got really close was that starting 11 was an absolutely amazing first 11. Especially, obviously, we're looking back a little bit with rose-tinted glasses, but you know, look at the back four we had. You know, it was the best back four in Europe for 2 seasons running. We had, I genuinely believe this, and I'm not saying it lighter. We had the best 2 centre backs in Europe.
Yeah,
right at the time.
Years.
Yeah, they were phenomenal. Jan Vertonghen, wow, that's maybe my favourite ever defender at Spurs. Our midfield. Oh yeah, well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But our midfield, you know, you had a Kane and Son and a prime Dele Alli for 2-3 years, and an amazing Eriksen. You know, Dembele, one of the best midfielders we've ever had at Spurs. And unless we get those caliber of players for our starting 11, and then the club does something they've never done before and build a squad of maybe a cut just below them, a bit like what Man City do, I just can't see how we're going to compete against the Liverpools and Man Cities.
No,
I mean, look at what Arsenal have done just to compete with them. They've spent certainly this season. They spent another 300 million quid.
Yep.
Right, and their strength in depth now is a bit ridiculous.
It's crazy,
you know. So, I'd love to hear everyone else's opinion on it.
Yeah, let me bring in Benji quickly before we go into. I just wanted to give everyone the chance to have their say before we go into pandemonium. I don't like to do the round robin after the first one. Benji, top performance from Spurs. I said earlier, for me, this is the best performance I've seen for Tottenham for 4, 5, 6 years. What do you make of it, Benji?
Yeah, mate, I can go with that, to be fair. I mean, first and foremost, I'm sorry I'm late to the show. Thanks for having me back on.
It's okay.
Yeah, I can go with that. Well, yeah.
It's okay.
You know what it's like, mate, little ones and all that. No, I can go with that. I mean, I think it's a very similar performance to Manchester City, to PSG, if I'm honest. I feel like we controlled that game quite well as well, too. But may I just say, fellas, boy, for the shit show transfer window we've had so far, did we need that served up today? That was a thing of beauty. And I'll tell you something, right? What a difference it makes to have a manager that tailor makes a game plan for every team they play. I mean, I feel the way Frank does it, I feel like he sets up to nullify an opposition's strengths.
Yeah.
Because, do you know what I'm trying to say? Because, like,
yeah,
PSG nullified. They didn't get much by us at all. Admittedly, towards the end, we flanked out a little bit. It happens. But Manchester City, we were minute 1 to minute 90. Absolutely. It was perfection. I just want to throw this out here, and I know a few of you are going to be a little bit funny with me for saying this. I have a new word for Brennan Johnson that I'd love people to adopt. I can see you smiling, Sam. A lot of people call him a ghost, in games, and you may be right. But I have a new word for him. He's not a ghost, fellas. He's a ninja. There is a big difference because a ninja will strike, all right? A ghost won't do anything during the game, but I'm telling you now, Brennan Johnson is our little ninja. I know he's not a fantastic player, but you've got to give the boy his props. He does come up with the goals. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I thought I'd throw it out.
I think we can all agree that Brennan Johnson comes up with the goals. I don't think that's ever the issue. My issue has always been when he's not scoring goals, is just he is a ghost. So it's okay like in games like today and against Burnley, you're going to get away with it. Had we have played that game today and he's not scored, it's another game with 10 men. But listen, I don't want to focus on that side because that will come across really negative. But guys, there's a bit of a free for all here. First of all, I want to talk about a player who would have been my man of the match. I know that TNT gave it to Sarr, who, by the way, I thought they were all excellent. By the way, there's no one today that you could go, oh, they weren't good. But for me, someone who they've got the stats up right now on Match of the Day. They're calling it Tottenham's Midfield Masterclass. And they've got Paulinho, Sarr and Bentancur. And they've got their duels 1, possession 1, tackles 1, shots on target and goals. And the stat that I'm drawn to immediately is Paulinho, 8 duels 1.
Yeah,
what a breath of fresh air, guys, to have a number 6 that just puts out fires, throws his body in front of the ball, wins it, gives it, no fuss, goes relatively unnoticed the rest of the time. What a difference it makes, chaps, right?
Yeah, he was for me, he was my man of the match. I think he was sensational today. And when I saw his stats after the game, I was like, how could they? And I saw some of the players' stats, but his stats were just phenomenal. And this is what I was saying about Paulinho. Like, I always believed that he was gonna start performing like this, and I feel that we're gonna see a better version of the one we saw at Fulham. I honestly believe that if he stays fit, and Frank was saying today that he doesn't even think he's fully fit yet, and I don't think he is either. No. So imagine what we're gonna see with a fully fit Paulinho. He transforms that midfield like night and day. It's unbelievable how much he transforms it. And you have to give him credit because he's hardly played a lot of football in the last year. He played at PSG for quite a big amount of the game, and you could see when he went off how different it was. Today, he pretty much played nearly all the game. He still came off, but that's fine. We've got players we can bring on, and I think the other player as well today for me, just to move off just to Paulinho with Sarr, I think he just looks like a different player. This under Frank, he just I've never seen someone switch like that from what we saw the last two years of Sarr to someone who just looks so different on the ball, his way he gets around the pitch, the way he's passing, everything. it's like he's gone up levels. But I just hope that he can continue that progress because he is young still, and we've got a very, very talented player on our hands. If he can keep progressing the way he's progressing, and I'm all for it.
On Palhinha, it's not just what he does, right? So you can look at the direct stuff, like you've just mentioned, is Jules 1, Savva. But I think he does two other massive, the indirect benefits of that. The defense don't get the pressure all the time, not just in the head as well. They don't have to be focused 100%. They get time off because he's given them that respite. I think that's mentally as important as physically. And also the effect on the other team. I echo what Lubo said. I didn't think they did a lot or they weren't given the opportunity to do a lot. But the effect that has is not just the direct breaking up the attack. That halfway through the second half, I was watching the City players and I thought, I think they look a bit demoralised because they didn't get any time on the ball. The second that they thought they got a bit of space, they were just smashed straight into. And there was a point in the game, I don't know what anyone else felt, I just felt watching it. Then they're not going to do anything because they looked down, the City players, to me. They looked as though there's nothing we can do here. Anytime we get an opportunity, we just bang. And that I've got to give props to Bentancur, who's not my favourite player in the world, but he was also putting it about today.
Excellent.
The two of them.
He looks a little bit, Chris, like the old Bentancur we saw under Conte when he was like our best player.
Yeah.
I thought physically the way we played today, and even the likes of Kudus as well, like taking on players who are much bigger than him and just barging them out the way. I genuinely felt it affected City, not just creating, obviously, but I thought it affected their morale. And I think they lost belief in themselves during that second half, personally.
Can I throw this out about Sarr today? So, he's brilliant, isn't he? It's funny, we did a show on Hotspur Hood earlier, and we were doing ratings per player. So, Sarr, I actually didn't notice him as much today, and Stell came out and said something quite brilliant. Sarr did all the dog work, didn't he? He wasn't necessarily making the crazy passes or breaking up every bit of play, but he did all the dog work. And sometimes when players do that, you maybe don't notice them so much. That was what he said to me, and I thought was quite brilliant. But with Paulinho, I gave him a 10 today. Listen, when you've got a centre defensive midfielder who is breaking up play, making fantastic challenges, helping with that clean sheet and scoring a goal, can you ask for much more from a CDM? Really?
Not brilliant.
He's been brilliant.
He was my man of the match as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
Do you know what, Benji? Sean and I did a show about 3 months ago, but before we were linked with him and said, wouldn't it be lovely to have Paulinho? And the one thing we said about it was that the people that will be happier than the manager, than the fans, will be Van der Ven and Romero, who will go, thank you. Thank you. A guy in front of us that wants to throw his body on the line. And by the way, Brennan Johnson in an interview today, I don't know if any of you have seen this. Brennan Johnson has said, it's nice to have a manager who respects defending. That has made Brennan Johnson go up in my estimations, by the way. Yeah. But look, brilliant. It is an important part, Lubo. If I come over to you, it is an important part because Paulinho and Bentancur, Sarr. Now, listen, I'm not saying we're going to be able to play like that in every game because there are going to be games where we desperately need some more creativity. But in these big away games, PSG, Man City, these guys have shown what a bloody good job they can do just with a bit of know-how and, again, a bit of seniority from Bentancur and Paulinho. So, it's so important, right?
Can I just add something just before Lubo? Sorry to interrupt, right? Just what you was just to mention on what Brennan Johnson said, right? And to touch on what you said earlier, Sav, well, both said actually, the fact that the players actually look happier playing football, right? Because they're actually winning games. They're doing it. They're working hard. So it's like anything, right? When you work hard in life for something, right? You feel good about yourself. You actually feel good because you've actually felt like you've achieved something, right? So when you work hard to go and beat a top team, you're going to feel good, right? You're going to feel good and the players feel good. The fact that he's saying that, and the fact that I've heard it a few times now from the players and from the manager, it seems like the general consensus is that no matter what, and Van der Ven said it, I think, today in an interview, I don't know if you heard it, but essentially, like, if we don't concede, we will not lose, right? And that mentality, I love. I love the fact that Frank is drilling that into them to say, do not concede. That is the priority. Do not concede, right? Because if you don't concede, you will not lose the game. It's as simple as that. And I love that. And I think that's, for me, the biggest thing I've seen in this Tottenham transformation so far, since Frank's been appointed in pre-season, etc., is that they want to try and play as much as they can to not concede and then still. And I think, look, I think we're going to be in for some really interesting results this season.
There's one thing I just want to pick up on, Danny. You said that you haven't seen like this Sarr. I do think that last season, even the season before, we saw glimpses of what he could do.
Yeah, we have seen glimpses
in games here and there or half here and there. But certainly last season, I don't think we could judge any of the players. Just an absolute
shambolic.
Yeah. Hard to judge Sarr doing that when there's no structure. Because to Danny's point earlier, when they, and sorry, we'll come back to you, Lubo, here, because I did go to you. To Danny's point earlier, quickly, Maz, I think what he was saying about the pressing was it's okay when you see a player press. We were pressing as a team. We were pressing in pact.
Yeah,
and I think when you see that, it allows everybody to do their job properly. Last year, it just kind of felt like everyone was all over the pitch. But Lubo, let me come back to you. You know, we need that in games like that. We need that type of dogged determination in midfield. Would that be fair?
That's fair. I think for the two big games where the three of them have played together with today and PSG, they've been excellent. It's going to be interesting if we do buy 10, how Frank fits it all together.
Not if. Don't be doing that to me, Lubo. When?
No. But I'm just saying that
when we buy a 10.
And does he play? Won't be part of it.
You know, how do you drop anybody? You know, if for argument's sake you bought a Paqueta, who obviously you couldn't see West Ham letting go, particularly where they are at the moment. But if you had a Paqueta type player who would come in that would create, do you then? I don't know what to do. You know, what do you?
But they have to fight for their places.
Absolutely. No,
isn't that what the big clubs have? Isn't that what they have?
We actually need sort of 2022 players like this. You know, which is what the Cities and Liverpools and Arsenals have got. Can I just switch from midfield to defence a second, and just say what a great game Romero had with marking Haaland. Thought he was absolutely tremendous. You hardly saw Haaland, did you?
Oh yeah, listen, Romero had one of those games where he does have, you know, the thing for me, I thought he was excellent against PSG. I thought he was shit against Burnley. Excellent today. I think the problem with Romero, I've always said this, is I feel like he gets proper up for the big games. For me, I just need him to be like that against Burnleys. Because when he's playing against Burnleys and Wolves and teams like that, I feel like the mistakes creep in. When he's playing the big clubs, I don't feel they do. And I don't know if that's mentality. I don't know what it is, but he was superb today and should never have been booked.
And
never have been
I think for me for that reason, today that's what I would pick him as my man of the match, because today I thought Sonny would never have been as good of a captain as Romero was today. I mean, Romero led by example. He was aggressive. He fought for everything. You know, at one stage he was all over the place, closing players down and intercepting balls. But you're right, Savva. He needs to constantly be good. A bit like King was. King didn't ever really have a bad game. I don't think I recalled King ever having a bad game, and he needs to be like that. And the good thing is, at least we know we can rely on Romero in the big games. At least we know he's a big game player, and that's a massive thing, isn't it? Because if you remember, Kane, one of the criticisms we could say with Kane is that when we really, really needed him, he didn't turn up, and that's I know that can be controversial.
Is he kind of like the opposite to Romero?
Well,
He is, isn't he?
In the big games, in the big games, where was Son and Kane? In the little games, where's Romero?
Yeah,
Do you know?
yeah.
I'm just saying it's true. I know people get offended by it and they go, yeah, but he scored loads. But those performances are becoming very regular for Romero and Van de Ven in big games. For me, I just want to make sure that if he does that all season, I'm on board with this train that he's world class. But for me, just got to do it every week. Can't always be when you're playing big games. It's got to be every week.
I think last week against Burnley, it was more with him giving away possession, wasn't it? It was the careless passing from the back.
Well, yeah, but he was crap. He was crap.
And being out of position defensively, it was for me. It was when he was on the ball. Normally, he hits those balls into midfield, and they're bang accurate. Last Saturday, he just had one of those days. First half, not so much second. Which I think we were all the players were better second half than first against Burnley. But that was for me that was a problem. Maybe it was a bit overconfidence, complacency, whatever you want to call it. But today he was just tremendous.
It was brilliant. That was never a yellow card, by the way.
No, that was definitely not.
I
think with that yellow card, right? It just goes to show for me it's that Romero bias thing that the refs seem to have around Romero or people have around him, where it's because they see him.
That's like he got 3 yellows the entire of last season.
This is what I'm saying. It's like
how is it a bias? He got 3 yellows. That's barely anything.
Because well, he has had more yellows than that. But
he got 3 in the entire last season in the league.
Yeah, and how much was he injured last season?
Well, he played in 18 games.
He played 26 in total, Chris, out of 60.
Yeah. So one in every 6 is hardly a referee agenda, is it?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the fact that some referees are definitely doing that, right? Because why would they give that as a yellow card today?
I can explain that, but you're not.
But Chris, the thing is, the thing is, Chris, you can't say that because why is it that everyone seems to think Romero's this hothead? When if you actually look at the stats, I'll give you an example, right? Lamela. Everyone used to think Lamela was this hothead who used to get card. If you look at Lamela's actual card statistics at Spurs, he got I think 1 red card his whole 7 years or 2.
So what is it? Romero, the stats don't back Romero as a hothead, or the referees have got an agenda and keep giving him yellow cards. Which one is it?
What do you mean?
Well, you've just said both of those things.
I'm saying that referees, like certain players like Lamela, right, when it's in social media, players like Lamela and Romero, Argentinian hotheads, right, people seem to assume that they are these people that get yellow cards and red cards all the time. What I'm saying is the fact that the referee gave that yellow card, because maybe in his mind he's thinking, oh, that's a dangerous challenge, right?
I can explain it from a referee's point of view, but none of you
can accept
it. Because what happens is the way you go in for a challenge, if you're deemed to be reckless, and he's kind of dived into it, right? If you're deemed to be kind of reckless and a bit out of control, what you then hit, whether it's the player or the ball, becomes irrelevant because you're not in control of your own body. I'll be honest, as soon as it happened, and we're 150 yards away, Lou, always, we're a long way away. As soon as it happened, I thought, with my referee background, he'll get a yellow card for that. I understand why fans don't think it was, but I don't think it's a horrendous decision from a referee's background. But I know I'm not going to win anybody over today.
It wasn't the actual tackle; it was the lead up to it and him not being in control.
In for it.
What we're saying, right?
Right.
Okay.
But it doesn't make sense because
the problem today, Danny. The problem today with tackling.
I thought the ref was poor, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah. Shocker.
Oh my goodness.
Atrocious.
I thought first half, particularly second half, he was slightly better. I thought he missed the foul on Porro, didn't he? He booked Romero. You see, a player's got to be able to go for the ball, and if a player just goes for the ball and accidentally follows through and catches another player, all of a sudden, the last 2 or 3 years, it's like a red card. It's you're out of control.
Yeah, it's not the way the laws are written.
This is how you tackle, and you can't hit the ball and then suddenly switch your body instantly because you just can't do it physically.
Well, hold on, fellas. Can I throw this out there real quick? So I think it's got to be about referee consistency. Because if my eyes don't deceive me, I'm pretty sure today I watched a knee fly into Kudus's chest from the goalkeeper outside the box.
Yeah.
Now listen, ever so quickly, this handsome fella behind me, brother, give me a wave. Lovely. Now he doesn't watch football, and when that Romero challenge went in, and he got the ball, and obviously I respect your refereeing background, Chris, I do. But after he got the ball and slightly pulled out of the challenge just to not make too much of a fuss of it, my brother turned to me and he said, "Why did he get a card?" Now, if that's someone who doesn't have or doesn't watch football, and even he understands that probably shouldn't have been a yellow card, then I don't know what's
I'd
going
argue
on
the
with
exact opposite, right?
Go on.
Well, I'd argue that, and this is no disrespect, but it's like anything. If you're not versed and got a background in refereeing and got 1,000 games behind you like I have, then you're not going to look at it that way. So it's not a case of how does somebody who's never done it, even they can see it. Well, they're going to be, and it's no disrespect, but that you're going to be less educated on how games should be refereed than someone who's refereed 1,000 games, right? That's just common sense.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, but
you need consistency there either way.
Well, the only problem with that is I'll just make 2 quick points. Firstly, to Lubo, the way the laws are written, it doesn't really matter whether you get the ball or not in a sense. The onus is on the player making the challenge to make it in a way that does not endanger the safety of the opponent, ball or not. That's the way the laws are written. In terms of your consistency, Benji, I agree and I don't agree in a sense. I'm always defensive of one ref to another because things are subjective, and I don't think you shouldn't be wildly inconsistent. You shouldn't have a handball on the line, red card one week, not the next, because certain things are just obvious. But for subjective challenges from one ref to another, that's difficult because we're all human beings. We've all got different interpretations. What you should expect is consistency in any 90 minutes from one referee. The only way I'll give him a defense there, it's not really defending him, to be honest, is he's just missed the challenge, right? Which is poor. And I'm criticizing him, saying he missed the challenge from the goalkeeper. But once he's missed the challenge completely, if he then goes and cautions someone for the same offence, you can't say, well, it's inconsistent, because you don't want him to be consistent with an error, right? I'd rather they were inconsistent. If they missed one and made a mistake, I would rather they were inconsistent and get the next one correct.
Chris, can I come back to you on something you've just said about you've got to tackle without endangering a player? You get a split second to make a tackle. Now the ball can be, it doesn't matter, the ball can be on the ground, it can be 6 feet, it can be 6 inches up, 12 inches up, 18 inches up. You can be coming in from a diagonal angle, you can come straight on, you can be coming sideways on. You only get a split second to go for that ball. Now, normally players go for the ball. They don't go for the ball with an intention of taking out and hurting a player. They go to win the ball. And the problem I find in a lot of these situations is that referees don't play the game, haven't played the game, and don't understand these things. And it's very easy just following the writing in the black book. All they know is what's written. What they don't understand are the ins and outs of the game. And that's where,
I don't really think that's true.
For me, common sense has got to come in. And
can I ask you a question, Luba? Then how is it that you, as a fan who's watched the same, you've watched a bit more, but say me and Savva, referees at our age, how is it us as fans would understand that, having also never played at a high level, but the referees who have operated at this level for 10 or 15 years, they don't understand it?
Lubo, he's got a point.
Are they told they have to follow the black book? Because
it's a bit like the highway code, I would suggest. I think if you follow things to the letter, then you wouldn't get through a game. The players wouldn't accept it. But fundamentally, with tackling, the onus is on the player. And the example I'd give you is, remember,
but Chris, the fact that you say that, to me, it just sounds like a ridiculous law that needs to be.
Well, no, because it means that what that means is
okay. So then every single time there's a tackle, you have to make a decision: is the player going after the ball or is he going after the player? And then you're making another decision and thinking, okay, is his body reckless and I don't know, is lost control of his feelings? Hold on, hold on.
Dissent,
Hello?
Being reckless. Doesn't that change the entire course of this conversation?
it would, but I don't think that was the case.
I was talking at that point.
It's this whole thing about, with the handball and players, talking about the silhouettes. I mean, ask Usain Bolt if he runs with his hands down by his side. I mean, it's absolutely nonsensical. So
yeah, but the problem, I mean, we're going to get into a refereeing debate, but very quickly to address that point, the reason why that happens is because it used to be ball to hand, hand to ball, but it was so vague that people like you guys and everybody else in football weren't accepting the inconsistencies because it was so vague and it was left to the referee, that over the years, the criticism of that has led to IFAB, who do the laws of the game, to try and mandate every single scenario in black and white. And that's when it becomes ridiculous. But you're in a rock and a hard place. You either try and write every scenario down and then you get this silly silhouette stuff, or you don't and you say, let's leave it to the ref, and then no one accepts that anyway. So, but
even under the current laws, I don't think that Romero was not in control of his body, and I don't think that he was going after the player.
No.
So why did he book him?
So then it's subject to the referee then.
I've never said anything about whether he's going for the ball or that intent is not in the laws. It's an irrelevance. It's how you go about it. And for me, he's launched himself at it. I think he is. But
that isn't that the art of the tackle is to launch yourself at it.
Not if it endangers the safety of the player. I'll give you an example. Remember Romero's last red card against Chelsea?
Yes.
But he played the ball, right? He played the ball, but he could have broken that guy's leg. And that's why that law is there to say that just because you're going for the ball, if you go into it in such a way that you could break the guy's legs, then that's not acceptable. For me,
but that's a completely different type of tackle to what happened today.
No, it's exactly what I said.
He genuinely meant to follow through. Look, Chris, would you consider that?
He didn't mean to do that in the Chelsea game, but the onus is on him as the player making the tackle to make sure it's not done in a way that could endanger the safety of the opponent.
But Chris,
so would you deem today's tackle as endangering the opponent then?
It's a physical game, Chris. It's a physical
game. I thought it was reckless. I thought
what they're doing. They're taking the physicality out of the match.
But then can I just say one thing?
Wasn't the goalkeeper's tackle on Kudus a lot more reckless than what that was?
Dan, I literally covered that like 2 minutes ago. Said he's missed it. What do you want him to do? Like, he's missed it.
But that doesn't make sense then. Like, he can give a yellow for that, but not give a red card for what he did for the keeper. So the keeper did.
So how do you expect him to give a card for something he hasn't seen?
Well, surely VAR would have been.
So then, why are they not using the technology then that they could use that they do have? Because if they act a 2-second check and he could have seen that Romero was not reckless in the way he lunged for that ball,
that's not allowed. That's not allowed. So that's a point to suggest. Well, am I here to answer for FIFA and every single referee mistake?
Yes,
you are. You just told me, Chris. You just told me you've got 1,000 games you've refereed, so you must have an understanding of refereeing and how the laws work.
No, Danny, I think you're missing a point. I think, sorry, Chris, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, Chris. But in my opinion, when the goalkeeper came out, tell me if I'm wrong. Happy to be wrong here. That VAR, that's not within their remit to check that. If the ref's missed it.
The VAR can only do anything if they say that's a clear and obvious red card. Whether you think that is or not, that's right. Okay. They obviously didn't think that. It's not within VAR's remit to check the yellow card. So, Danny, you can say to me, why is it not in VAR's remit? I can't answer that question. I didn't make the law.
You should.
Chris, do
you want every yellow card checked? We'd be here forever, wouldn't we?
Chris, every Monday morning on Sky, on Sky Sports, on Sky Sports, I think they have they have Stephen Warnock and one of the ex-women footballers.
Yeah, the Ref Watch.
And they have Ref Watch with Dermot. Has Savva not told you that you are the Ref Watch on his show?
Can I just say?
Bullshit as Dermot Gallagher, but anyway.
I want to move on from the reffing. All I'll say about this is, though, I always think when fans talk about refereeing decisions, no one ever takes off their club hat. Absolutely. They always talk about the decisions from their heart. And I've got an example of this is if you remember last year against Newcastle United at home, Lubo had an absolute shit fit because of, if I'm not wrong, a ball was whacked against Joe Linton's arm from about that far away, and Lubo's going, "Oh my God, how is that not a handball? How's that not been given?" It's like, well, the actual rules state that it's not, because it's been kicked at him from that he can't do anything. No, I don't care. If that had happened the other way, Lubo would be the first one out here going, "That's not a handball. I can't believe it." And hang on, Lubo. Hang on. This is what fans do. This is why when we watch decisions, this is what fans do. The Romero versus Arsenal one last year, everyone got their knickers in it, just saying, "Oh, Romero was pushed for the for the goal that for the Arsenal goal at the corner," and it's like, really, was he? And like, yes, he was. He definitely was. If that had been the other way around, we'd all be going, "Really good, really good play there by the centre back."
Savva, I personally, I can only speak for myself, right? But whenever I see challenges, regardless of the team, I think it's just in my nature. I'm a stickler for rules in games, right? I'm one of those horrible people to play games with, because I'm like, no, that's against the rules. You can't do that. I'm that type of person, and I love fairness. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you recall on your show, I was one of the people with you who said, no, I don't think Romero was fouled.
Yeah, no, agreed. I don't mean everyone, man. I don't mean everyone. I just mean in general, when a decision happens, right? It's like if the ball, let's just use the basics. If a player goes down the wing, crosses a ball in, and it hits the defender's arm from in the penalty area from, I don't know, 10 yards, 5 yards. If it happens, if you are the team attacking and it hits the defender's arms, every fan goes, penalty, it's hit his hand. That's a blatant penalty. If that's the other way round and you're defending, you're going, that's never a penalty. What's he meant to do with his arms? That's the life of a football fan in general, Maz, is my point. Not everyone, but in general, this is why when refs make mistakes, I don't really get on their backs, because fans don't know the rules. I think we've all shown that tonight. No one knows the rules properly. And second of all, we all interpret the rules different depending on whether it's one of our players that's committed it or whether it's the opposing team that's committed it. So I do feel like there's a lot of bias when talking about ref decisions. And Lugo is the world's worst.
No.
I've worked with him for years now. He is the world's worst at it.
Let me ask you a question. What I was appealing for a handball against Joe Linton last season, referees are giving penalties for those every single week.
No, they're not.
Balls are coming in. Players are running.
Like
defenders are running back. No, defenders are running back. Balls are slammed in, and it hits a hand, and a referee gives a penalty.
Literally saw one in. I think it was it last night's game where it was a handball shout, and they said no, it was just too close. So I disagree. Let's just make one final point, because we don't want to talk about refereeing forever. But just to back up what you said, Savva, in my experience, what happens is I come onto a show like this or anything else where anyone wants to ask me questions, and they're more than welcome to. But they want decisions based on what they think the laws of the game are, not what the actual laws of the game are. I would say most fans don't actually know, which is fine. I don't expect them to, but that's the nature.
It is difficult to know the rules, though, right? When they change like every season.
Well, I would counter that. Savva, I'd counter that with, have you ever made an effort and gone and read them?
Yeah, but if I started reading them tonight, by next week, I'd have to read the new rule book next week, wouldn't I? So do you know what I mean? Like,
they can only change once a year. But anyway, let's not talk about this all night. Jesus.
Yeah, let's move away from referees. Look, let's go back to the game. Can we all agree that, you know, we're 2-0 up at half time? By the way, Sarr, absolutely integral to both goals. Absolutely integral. He flicked on the header that set Richie away, and then he pressed for the second goal. By the way, James Trafford, if Man City have that guy in goal for the rest of the season, I'm going to firmly take back any chance they've got of winning a title. Yeah. But going in at half-time 2-0, I'll be honest, guys, I was expecting the Alamo. I said I was expecting the Alamo, and I said, you know what? You know we're going to be peppered. You know we're going to... And then it actually turned out we ended up having more shots than Man City, more shots on target than City. Their keeper had more saves. I mean, that's got to be really impressive, right? I can't remember the last time we've done that.
Amazing.
You know, so I thought that was really, really, really promising.
Well,
Anyone
the fact
can
that
go
last year as well, when you look at the comparison between how we beat City last year, we played on the counter and we got it. It wasn't a good game of football to watch last year. It was good that we got the result that we did, but it wasn't a good watch. Like we played counter attacking, right? Lubo, correct me if I'm wrong, mate. From what I remember, anyway.
Yeah, no.
But this year we just controlled them so well, and it actually looked nice. You actually enjoyed watching Spurs play and actually win a football match of this caliber in the way that we won it.
I mean, last season, Danny, I mean, we should have been 2 down in the first 10 minutes.
I remember.
Haaland should have had a hat-trick before half-time.
Yeah, we were getting peppered.
Every time we attacked, we scored, which is brilliant. And one by one, it took the game away from City. But they were all over us virtually the whole game. I think we had probably about 20% possession the whole game. But we put the ball in the back of the net, and they were missing sitter after sitter. Really, it was one of those days, and we also played much deeper because we had to last season. But we got the result today. You can see the benefits. I mean, Frank's been coaching the club for 7 weeks, and you go, you play against PSG the way we did, and now City the way we did. I think it's absolutely superb, and it's just great. There's a structure, there's all their organisation, their discipline. They work for each other. You had Johnson dropping back covering Spence. You had, Kudus and Porro. What a combination that is. There was hardly a cross that came in from the left, even when Doku came on in the second half. And the whole thing, it just looks. It's early days. We can't get carried away.
Of course,
but today was a superb performance, and it was an excellent result. And you just got to take your hats off to the boys and say I was really proud. I was walking out of the ground. I was just fabulous, just great, just had a smile on my face for a minute because we walked out of the car park and walked into a whole mob of City fans, and just had to look a bit glum all the way back to the car. But fantastic, just a super day, a great day.
Can I ask a very quick question now, boys? Under Ange, the first 10 games, I said one thing to myself: this level of performance is unsustainable. The way Ange wants us to play, it's just unsustainable. We're going to hit road bumps. The way we perform so far under Thomas Frank, do you lot feel that this is a sustainable way to play? Just out of curiosity.
Can I just quickly? Can I just throw my 2 pence in? I put it out to the guests. First and foremost, I don't think this is exactly how Thomas Frank would want to play every game. You've got to remember the handicap that this guy's got right now. This guy's got no playmaker at the football club. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got no playmaker to play in the number 10 position. And let's be fair, the left winger options that he's been given, Tell, Odegaard, and even Brennan Johnson as a winger, not as a goal scorer, as a winger, he's not got anything. I think it's going to be very different. Though? I think it's going to be very different, Benji, when he gets a playmaker. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a playmaker has to start every single Premier League game, but I think it's going to be very different when you've got a playmaker and you're able to sustain a little bit more momentum going forward and you're able to have a little bit more holding on to the ball. And I think that is why they went hell for leather to try and get. That's why he wanted Eze, right? That's why now apparently we want Nico Paz. That's why they want Savio, because they want a little bit more going forward. But just to round off, I think the difference between the sustainability between Frank and Ange is Frank's sustainability isn't reliant upon other teams missing chances. If you have a look, if you actually go back to that first 10 games of the season, I don't actually think Spurs were that great for those 10 first games. If you actually look, a lot of the games we were quite wide open, a lot of chances on our goal. I'm not saying there wasn't good games, but if you look at games against Luton Town, I thought we were dreadful. Sheffield United, I thought we were dreadful. First game against Brentford, nothing really happened. Crystal Palace, I thought we were very lucky to get the win against Crystal Palace. So it wasn't like we swept everyone before us for 10 games, but we were wide open. And Dan called it. Dan called it. He was one of the first people to call it. He said, can't play like this for 38 games. Frank isn't wide open. So even if Spurs don't have a great game, I can never see us conceding bags and bags of goals. We're just not built that way. under this manager.
And to add, I don't think that today's performance and even our last game, it was overly negative. To be honest with you,
No.
You know, it was not like, you know, we had position today, we had chances, you know, we had good counter attacks, and that
should have scored more.
Yeah, we should have scored more, and you know, when you win a game. You know, winning football effectively is entertaining, right? The only time it doesn't, you know, the only time it's not entertaining is if we're defending and all we're doing is hitting long balls up the pitch. That's boring football, isn't it? So I think as the team settles into this new way of playing, and it seemed like they have done very quickly, to be fair, that everyone looks like they know what they're doing. Everyone knows how to press. Everyone knows where they need to be when they're defending. And I think that's really impressive and clear evidence that they're being coached very well already, which is really pleasing to see. I think as the season goes on, I can only expect us to improve, certainly as the players gain confidence. But, and here's the but, if there's one injury to Kudos, we are done. And that is my worry, because he's playing out of this world. His work rate, the amount of yards he's covering in the game, the kilometers he's covering is insane. And I just hope he doesn't run himself into the ground through his sort of exuberance of wanting to impress, gets injured, and we're done. And I hope that he is rotated, because we can't afford for him to get injured unless we go out and buy two quality, you know, another left winger and a playmaker, and then we can, you know, if he does get injured, then it's incredibly bad luck. But you know, we can rotate or do what we need to do in that front.
There you go.
No one?
Yeah.
Anyone else on that point, to Benji's point about sustainability? Anybody? No?
No, listen, I think it's...
I agree.
We're not wide open. You know, you look at... You were talking about the games last year. We took 100 minutes to score against Sheffield United. Against United at home in the first home game of the season. Rashford and Fernandes missed 2 open goals with headers from 6 yards. We could have been 2 down at half time. Listen, he came out. I've got to say that the way he played, Ange, to come to the Premier League and try and play with 2 at the back and inverted fullbacks, he was an innovator. So you know, give him credit for that. Where he went wrong was when it started to fail, he didn't change it. But I think going back to Frank and sustainability, he's starting. You know, we're tough to beat. We don't give away many chances. Vicario's not making God knows how many saves every match now. And it is sustainable, because you're building from the back. And the best part of the team for me is still the back four. If you look at the backs, midfield and forwards, I think the back four are very, very strong. Very strong. So fully agree, Benji.
The only thing I don't think is sustainable is if we don't add more bodies. Danny, are you doing that? Are you doing that really loud tapping on your laptop, on your computer?
Sorry. Yeah.
Whenever Danny's on, you just hear.
It's a mechanical keyboard. That's why.
You know, when we looked at the bench today, guys, when you look at the bench today, and you look at those 9 names, and you realise, shit, this is what we're going into the season with. You've got Kulusevski, Maddison, and Dragoshin all with long-term injuries, at least until the new year for Dragoshin and Kulu and Maddison out for the season. You look at that bench today, that you can't go into the season like that. You can't. That's the only negative for me from looking at today. Now, that's not the game per se, but when I look, I don't know, did anyone else feel that when they looked at the bench and went, "Oh, that can't be the bench for a season. There's nothing coming off it." Is that harsh or is that fair?
Dan So's a very adequate centre back. I think Bergvall does his bit. For me, Solanke So, for me, there's three that I feel would slot in.
And you said when you say does his bit though, Lubo. So I'm going to question this. Solanke does what bit?
Well, Solanke was on for a few minutes, worked hard, had a shot which could have gone in, could have been the third. Richie's the man in form, but there isn't that much between them.
I think there's loads between them. I've got to be honest. I don't rate either of them, and I think this is. We'll come to this later. This was my problem with signing Solanke. He's not better than Richie. That was the worry for me.
He's in big trouble.
Spent 60 million to replace Richie with a guy who's worse than Richie. Anyway, but going back to the bench,
so Harry's back next summer.
No, but hang on, Lubo. Going back to the bench, we're not talking about Harry Kane again, right? Going back to that bench. You say this, but Bergval's a kid who's done relatively nothing. Dan, so I agree with you, is very strong as a defensive option. Other than that, my point was those are the 9 players. Outside of that, who wasn't in the squad today that we could possibly put on a bench?
Dragusin.
But we couldn't, could we? Like I'm saying, who wasn't in the squad
currently? Okay. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, we're messed up right now. Because if we're going to loan out Vuskovic as well, for example, we've got no other cover apart from Ben Davies as centre back. And if he goes for a back, we're actually in a really bad situation, and I don't think people understand how bad it is. Well, maybe they do. People do understand how bad it is, but I think the problem is that one injury, and we know Spurs are an injury-ridden team, right? We always have lots of injuries. A couple of injuries, and we're back to where we were last year. Like genuinely, and we might be harder to break down. We might lose a game 1-0 rather than 3-0 or something like this, but it's still going to be disastrous for us because we can't play 4 competitions and have very limited amount of players in the positions that we need players in, especially of a quality, not just any players. It's just ridiculous. So I'm genuinely worried, like if we don't get at least 3 players in. At least
that's Danny. That's where I was going with this, right? That's where I was trying to lead the conversation, right? That this squad is number wise. Forget quality wise. Quality wise, we know, but number wise, I'm looking at this going. You've got to bring in some footballers. You've got to. Like we just can't go in with 20 players.
Savva, can I add to this squad conversation? If we don't sign more players and quality players, we're fucked. We are going to be fucked because
agreed.
I was looking at Thomas Frank at Brentford. Can't compare Brentford to Tottenham, but that's all I've got to go off of. When he played 1 game a week, on average he won just over 1 in 2 games. That was so just over 50% win rate. When he had 2 games in a week, it drops down to 1 in 4. So 25% win rate. It's a big drop off. I think now, whilst it's 1 game a week, it's the honeymoon period. He's got plenty of time to work with the players, prep them, understand the opposition, set them up. When these games come thick and fast and you've got 1 day to prepare, figure out your strategy, get your team to understand it, rotate, deal with any injuries, that's when the problems are going to hit us. So if we don't bring in quality players so Frank can easily adapt and there's not a drop-off in quality on what we're seeing now, it's going to unravel quickly. And I think he needs to sit down with the board and have a serious conversation of what the aim is for this season. If it's to have a real go at winning a trophy or trying to challenge for top 4, they need to back him, man. They need to bring in players. If we're going to depend on the Greys, the Bergvalls, the Tells, who aren't developed yet, who aren't quite as good as Paulinia, massive drop-off, Paulinia to Gray, massive drop-off from Kudus to Tell or Odebert. These are big drop-offs.
Yeah,
it's just going to unravel. So for me, obviously, his win rate at Brentford is, we can't use that as the barometer because we've got better players. You'd like to think we've got better players overall. Other than Mbeumo and Wissa, I think we've got better players. But certainly playing in Europe, something Frank's never done, is going to be a learning curve for him. So when you factor all of that in, if we don't bring in players, it's gonna be pretty sad because we might be onto something good here. We won't know for a while. It's still early, but we need to build on that rather than work against it. So for me, as much as it's great now and it's all rosy and we're all happy, I've been here before, many a time with many a manager. I just want to see Frank given another 2 or 3 really, really good players so that when it does, when things do heat up, 2 games a week, big games, big competition, he's got the tools to at least give it a fair crack rather than us just surrendering and thinking, oh, bollocks, here we go again. That's where I'm at with it. If it's a bit harsh, it's not meant to be. It's just that's how I see it at the moment. He still needs 2 or 3 really good players.
Yeah. I mean, guys, let's have this conversation. I mean, we spent an hour and 15 talking about the game, so to speak, and we'll come back to it in a bit. But I think that's the key thing. My takeaway is, as I said, I've never worried about the quality of the manager. That's never been my issue. This summer has not been my worry about what Thomas Frank will do. It really is now that when you look at the squad, it is now at the stage where it's actually really thin on the ground. It's really thin on the ground with the injuries. We've got, by the way, I think it was something like, let me just double check. I did a chat GPT earlier, just before I started the show. Just before we started the show, we had 8 days, 19 hours and 6 minutes to make transfers. How many does everyone think we need? Because I still think we need 3 or 4 bodies in. I genuinely don't think this is, we get Savio. Don't get me wrong, I want Savio. I don't think this is we get Savio. Oh my God, all our problems go away. I think we need bodies.
We need a Savio, we need a number 10, and we need a left centre back. Or someone who can play like as maybe a left back / centre back. My ideal window. Look, I don't even know who our number 10 would be. Like realistically, who we could get. I think realistically we can get Savio. I think it's just pay the money and you get him, right? I think centre back. I've got no idea who we could go for. I don't know why Spurs don't try and go for Guehi. I think they should just try and go for Guehi, but they probably won't because they won't go and buy like class. I don't know.
Just quickly,
number 10.
Just quick, Danny, just really quickly. A lot of the reports were saying though that the hesitation that Guehi had about going to Liverpool was the amount of playing time in a World Cup year.
Yeah, okay, then
that might be the same as. I'm just chucking it out as a curveball.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And I think, it's possible. But like number 10s, who can we really get? Like, I know we're talking about Akalush and Paz.
Akalush.
Can I throw a name out? Dan?
He's class. But like, I think Paz is also a good player. But it looks like I think we're all probably going to see like El Kanous come to Spurs. I think that's what's going to happen. I can't see any other deal for a number 10. And I think that just goes. That's the epitome of. Sorry, one sec, Benji, and then you can go, mate. I think it's the epitome of the way this club has run the way that the club have run their transfer dealings over the last 20 years.
And I wanted to throw a name out you really quick, and it kind of blows my mind a little bit that people feel like he's unattainable. Lucas Paqueta. Now he wants out of West Ham. He wants out of West Ham, and West Ham want him out. Is he real? Do you know what? I saw pictures today on X. Yeah, I saw that. Were they real? Surely not, right?
No, that's what Instagram.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, look. I mean, that stinks of Daniel Levy. That deal stinks of Daniel Levy.
Give him Basuma and some money. I don't understand it.
West Ham aren't going to give us 2 stars in one window. There'll be a civil war in that club.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Look, at the end of the day,
money talks, so still.
Exactly. Their fans are ready to burn down the Olympic Stadium as it is. Their fans are. They are livid. I like Paqueta. Benji, I agree with you. I'll come back to what I said the other day, and I'll bring Sean in a bit as well. And evening, Sean. It's like a who's who of Spurs YouTube tonight. Look at this. It's like the Avengers assembling on a Saturday night. I think the problem with a Paqueta is if you go to West Ham and you try and take Paqueta with 7-8 days left to go, I don't think. Which one's is it? Sullivan that's still is Sullivan that's there, isn't it? Yeah. Is Sullivan going to risk the wrath of the West Ham fans and go on another one off to White Hart Lane? I just can't see it, mate.
No, it will be like Spurs going for Akalush, and we've got a deal in principle. They're arranging a medical, and Arsenal come in again and take him. That's what it will be like if we sign Paqueta. That's kind of how I look at it. It'll be that kind of. That's it. now it's just a war. You know, I mean, I'd love it. I think you're right, Ben. Paqueta would be brilliant for us. I'd love to see it happen. I just think
West Ham fans,
still, it's not just the number 10 position that he covers. I think he's quite versatile. I think he could also play as that deep line playmaker. So really and truly,
he's a baller.
Two positions.
He's a footballer.
He's class. I mean, you see the goal he scored the other day is unbelievable.
I will just throw this. I will throw this out, fellas, and no one will agree with me here. I don't think you touch Nico Paz with a barge pole.
Why?
I was expecting it to explode. Because he is a 20-year-old.
I wanted to hear the reason first, and then I'll give it.
Yeah. No, right. So he's a 20-year-old kid. He's had one decent season. Okay, 6 goals, 8 assists. He's not really one for beating his man. You know, he doesn't have a playmaking ability that matches someone like a Maddison. So I don't even deem him on the same level as Maddison. And he's 70 million. Okay, there's a 50% buy clause with Real Madrid where they'd get the 50% of whatever comes in. And 70 million for a player that's had one good season at the age he is just a little bit. I'm not convinced.
Benji, I think the problem we've got to consider is Maddison's time at Spurs is really done. I mean, he's going to be out for a year. He's going to be 29 by the time he comes back.
We need to sell him.
I think if Spurs are on the ball with this, they need to get rid of him. Well, I know, but the thing is, he'll need to come back, get fit, play a few games, show that he's well, and then clubs may go in for him or consider him. But
can I ask Benji, what do you mean about, don't we?
After you, Chris. Sorry, go on, Chris. I want to get Chris in, and then I want to get Sean's thoughts after Chris, because when Benji mentioned Paz, I saw the Sean Butler head raise. I'm used to his face.
His face has dropped.
Be gentle, Sean. Be gentle.
I just didn't understand the one comment. I just wanted to know what you meant by only having one good season at his age. Like, he's only played one season of professional football, right?
And that warrants 70 million. I think he's a copium player.
That's really what I was just checking. I didn't understand what you meant. It sounded like you were like you expected him to have more seasons of. But I'm like,
can I ask you a question, Benji? Before I bring Sean in, can I ask you a question? I see a lot of fans do it, and I'm not going to give my take on Paz till after Sean's. Are you more worried about the money, or is it the fact that Paz has had 1 year? He's had I think 43 professional games. I think Paz has had in his career. Are you more worried about the 70 million, or are you more worried about Paz's age and the number of games he's played?
Do you know what? No, to be brutally honest with you, I'm worried about both. I mean, I look at Paz and I think, all right, he does have a small bit of physicality to him. He can turn a player, but it's not something he does regularly. His level of passing is good, but I wouldn't say it's fantastic. Again, where I mentioned, a James Maddison style playmaker, he's not on that level. I just feel like because we are so desperate for that number 10, I feel just slightly we might be picking at straws here. And realistically, he'd come in, there'd be a big bounce for him, it would be fine. But I don't think he's going to turn into the player that a lot of people seem to think he will. Again, it's just my opinion, but yeah. Sean?
Sean?
Hi, boys. How you doing?
Hello, mate.
Yeah, evening. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Evening.
No meltdown tonight, then? Everyone's calm tonight, are we?
Not yet, Sean. I'm sure by you entering the building, there'll be some sort of fire.
If you want to have another Levy chat, we can do it. I don't think Sarah will be happy though.
So my chairman did actually, employ all those people today that just smashed City, walked them off the park. But pretty impressive stuff. Anyway, look, no, the Nico Paz thing was, look, I've got to disagree with you. Sorry, Benji. I think Nico Paz is someone who, first and foremost, if you're looking for a 10 that can press, I know this is not what people think about in a 10, but clearly we are going to be a team that presses from the front, and that's going to be a massive part of our ball retention. And Nico Paz is probably the best aggressive 10 in that style of play that does more off the ball work than anyone else. And so it's a vital part of that recipe. Last season, I think I must have said 1,000 times that you can't play if you want to do a high press under the Angeball system, you can't have a Brennan Johnson, a Sonny, and a Maddison in the same 11 because the three of them just don't do anything. They don't work hard enough off the ball. When you've got Kudus that works hard off the ball, even dare I say it, I know people don't like it, but a Matisse Tell that works hard off the ball. If you have a 10, and if you were to go and get a Savinho who also works hard off the ball, there's no more issues, no concerns at all with the work rate at the top end of the pitch, and it allows you to create so much more. So that in and of itself for me is a value add that people don't expect from a 10, but you get it with him, and it's crucial for our style of play, especially away from home. Second of all, he's got one of the highest successful take on percentages in his position in the game last season. So I think every time he takes players, he doesn't take on players as often as others, but every time he does, he's in the top. I think it's 8th percentile at successful take-ons. He's a very rangy passer. He's got, I think, six or seven times. I think that'll be 6.5 times every single game. He does something that leads to a shot on target, not just a shot, but a shot on target. Right. So his activity might be the guy before the guy in the play, but actually his output as well is incredibly good for someone of his age. He's also incredibly highly thought of. Like he's had a breakout season. I hear the concerns around dropping 70 million on a guy that's had 50 games of football or whatever. But his I hate to use the word ceiling. I'd rather just say like the kind of runway for him is incredibly well thought of. And look, there's a reason why Real Madrid. I mean, I don't personally think we're going to get him because I think the Real Madrid. I mean, you're not dealing with Como, by the way. You're dealing with Real Madrid because Real Madrid own 50% of his rights, and Real Madrid. If you were to go and pay 70 million euros for it, just play the hypothetical, then at the moment Como would get 35 million of that, and Real Madrid would get 35 million. But Real Madrid have buyback clauses that are triggerable right now. I think it's 8 million euros right now, 9 million euros next summer, and 10 million euros the year after. So it's essentially just like an impermanent loan in a nutshell, because if he does develop to the level that he's going to be, then they're going to trigger that at some point. But if you were to actually try to reach an agreement for 70 million, why would Real Madrid let Como have 35 million of that? They would just trigger the buyback on 8 million and do the deal with you for 70 and keep 62 instead. So just financially, it makes more sense for them. So you're not really dealing with Como, you're dealing with Real Madrid, which becomes...
Sean, can I throw in the obvious as well with the Nico Paz deal? When you've got a deal, so I was waiting for permission there. I was like, "Can I?" Yeah, okay, thank you. When you've got a deal that involves 3 clubs, because you're going to have Como, Real Madrid, Spurs, lots of representatives, buyback clauses. When you've got 8 days to do it, it's too
hard basket.
It's a tough one. But Nico Paz, by the way, to your point there, this is the interesting thing. I was just looking at his FB ref stats, and you're right. His successful take-ons are in the 86th percentile. His shots, his assists.
If you go scroll down, click on the view scouting report. See where it says view complete scouting report.
Yeah.
John, can I ask a very quick question?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, no offense by this question. Is this something you've researched or you've actually watched him? And the only reason why I say this is because because Dele Alli went to Como, I started watching Como quite a lot. And I did pick up on Paz, but my opinion is based off what I have personally seen. Now, have you watched much of Como, or is this your based this off of research?
I've done about an hour's worth of like 12-second clips of the way I research a player is the Y Scout tool. Okay, so the Y Scout tool is not like a highlight reel. It's you can look into any particular area of someone's game and then just see every single thing that he's ever done within that department of his game. So you can just click on take-ons, for example, and just see little 8-second clips or 10-second clips going all the way back to when he was a child. So you can get like an impression of his game that way. Obviously, there's the lacking of the context of the game state when you're doing it that way, but it does obviously allow you to just kind of fine-tune your opinion on certain areas of his game. Yeah, so I think that, listen, generally speaking, Nico Paz for me is a really good player, but I think we're going to waste our time on it for the reasons that you said, Sav, right? You've got 8 days left in the window. It's going to be far too complicated. Too many parties are involved in that one. And I genuinely think that Real Madrid think very highly of him. From what I've read, Real Madrid have intentions to buy him back. So it's essentially just like an impermanent development loan.
Isn't Akayush the obvious one, guys? Like, so I don't know if it's for me. He's older, more experienced. broken into the French team.
I agree with you, Savva.
He can play
I've seen a bit of
multiple
Accolution. I
positions.
think he's excellent.
Yeah, I don't know why we would try and do the Paz multi-company deal when you've got Akliouche, who is apparently available 60 million euros. By the way, unlike Benji, I'm at the stage, guys. I don't give a flying fuck how much these players cost right now. And that is the problem with when you wait till the last 8 days of the transfer window to sign footballers. You've got to, Levy now, he's got to pull a few, I'm not going to do a Levy debate, but he's got to pull a few rabbits out of that Enoch hat, right? And if that means overpaying, listen, we paid 40 million for Tell. For me, that's 20 million too much. We paid 40 million for Gray. For me, that's 39 million too much, right? We paid 60 million for Solanke. For me, that's 30 million too much. If you can overpay on those players, then you can overpay on a Savio and an Akaliouche. In my opinion, I think if you can overpay on the average that need to be coached, why not go and overpay on the ones that come straight in and hit the ground running?
I don't think we should buy Nico Paz, and I'm speaking as a coach now, not from data stats videos. Right, the reason I don't think we should sign him, and it's horses for courses. My thinking on this, I think he will do well at Spurs if we sign him. I think he will actually do quite well. But where I think we come unstuck with him is when we play the really tough games, or the games where we're up against really top defenders and number sixes. I think he's going to come unstuck because he's so heavily left-sided. And if you look at his play, his through balls, his balls over the top, his passing, it's all left-footed. He's not a two-footed football player. And for me, I want my playmaker, my 10, to be two-footed, because now the best defenders in the world, they can't put you on your weaker foot because they're both good feet.
But Kulu's done all right, though, didn't he? I mean, I know that he's got his limitations.
Kulu's done okay. I think Kulu's done okay.
Yeah, but look, Kulu
doesn't play as a 10,
right?
though, Kulu doesn't play as a 10. He plays out wide.
What, we played him as a 10 last year. He was Maddison's backup.
Again, look, we can all have our view on this, but for me, if my 10's in the middle, he's got to feed left, he's got to feed right, he's got to feed middle. If you can play on both feet comfortably, your game's completely different. You can control a game of football. You can dictate the attacks. And with Paz, he's so heavily left-sided that if you come up against a good player like a Declan Rice or a Gabriel or I'm trying to think of players that are really good at centre-back, Van Dijk, or just any top player, they're just going to constantly put you on your weaker foot. And now what? You're going to have to make a short-range pass, and that's it. You're not a playmaker anymore.
Are you talking about Paz or Akliouche?
Paz. Paz.
If you're worried about one-footed players, and you'd rather have Akliouche, then I don't know what we're doing here, because he's the most one-footed player in the game.
I haven't seen Akliouche, Sean. I haven't seen him.
Who's two-footed right now? Off the top of everyone's head, two-footed number 10s. 8 days of a transfer window to go.
Yeah, but we can't spend 60-70 million
even Madsen is
for the next 4 years who's only got 1 foot.
Paqueta, that's true.
Yeah, but still, if you're saying that, then we go into this season with no playmaker.
Yeah.
Well,
you can't go into the season with no playmaker.
Would you pay 70 million pounds for a striker that can only shoot with his left foot?
Yeah, but it's slightly different. There must be loads of playmakers out there that aren't two-footed.
Yeah, there's a difference between equally comfortable on both feet versus unfooted.
What established top number 10 do you know that is heavily one-footed?
I think most players have a preferred foot, though.
Not preferred foot. Like if you look at Paz's game, he's heavily left-sided. I've never seen him make a killer pass or a ball through the lines or a ball over the top to the striker on the right foot. He never does it. He's very left-footed.
I'll be honest. I've never paid attention to that bit of it. I have to look it back in. I've never actually
watched. They're the little things I look at. And for me, I watched and I watched.
Who are you getting? So who are you getting?
Well, the two that we went for that we never got, unfortunately, would have been ideal. Now, I think Paqueta can play on both feet.
See, I'll be honest. I'm not so hung up on that they've got to be able to play with both feet. I think top players are top players. And the problem is when you're saying, would I want to spend 60, 70 million? Isn't the argument that would I rather have Akliouche or Paz in the number 10? And by the way, 2 weeks ago, I was saying, okay, Paz, no. Unfortunately, I'll use a Sean Butler word here. My opinion has pivoted as the time is ticking on. This is the problem with a transfer window. What I would accept 2 months ago changes drastically to what I would accept with 8 days of the window to go. Because otherwise, what we'll get is, well, don't worry, then we'll do it in the next window. Then January comes and goes, right? And then we're going, oh, don't worry, we'll do it next summer. And then you've had a whole year without a playmaker. We can't have a whole year without a playmaker.
Right. So then, okay. So now you make a good point, right? So I guess you've got to look at it in two different ways. And by the way, people in the chat, Paz is a good player. I believe he's a good player. I'm just saying against really good number 6s and defenders, they're going to have his number because you can read him. The issue is, Savva, is this then. Do we kind of do what Arsenal have done where they don't go and buy a certain player, they wait until the right player is in the market and then they get their man? Or do we just buy a player that might not be the ideal fit just so that we plug a hole for now? But my worry is if we spend £70 million on a player who doesn't quite have all the attributes because we're desperate for a player to play in that position, we're then stuck with them for the next 4 years. And we're going to then try and build around a player that doesn't have all the talent that maybe if we waited a bit longer, we could get. So what do we do? Do we do the short-term fix and spend a lot of money on it? Or do we just wait a bit more and get the right guy?
By waiting a bit more, you write off the whole season, don't you? Like, but the difference between getting a number 10 in and not, I think, is huge. Because games like today, I think you can get away with Sarr, Paulinho, and Bentancur. There are going to be games where you need to unlock a defense.
I agree.
Right? And the problem is, as good as Sarr, Paulinho, and Bentancur have been, none of them can unlock a defense. Let's be brutally honest, none of them can. It's not their jobs. I'm not expecting them to. I'm not judging them on that. The problem is when you're playing against these teams that will come, sit in, and put low blocks against us, we are really going to struggle to open them up. And all they're going to have to do, we've said this before, is they're going to double up on Kudus, and we're going to have no way of opening up a team. So I think that listen, if we were a proper team still, for me, we'd go and get one now, and we'd go and get another one in the next window. We need two anyway.
I think based on what Frank has said about the players he wants, I think he will wait until he gets the player that he wants, not just fly in for a panic buy.
He might.
If he can get somebody that he likes in the next 8 days, then that will solve the problem. We'll get our number 10 and he'll get the player he wants.
What was interesting in his post-match presser that he done, he kept mentioning the two signings they brought in, Paulinho and Kudus. Never mentioned Tell, not once.
It's because it wasn't his signing. Wasn't his signing?
You know that.
It wasn't his signing.
Just quickly, I've just looked on the Y Scout tool for 10s that are 2-footed, both-footed. And the most valuable 10 in world football that is considered to be 2-footed or both-footed is Zeki Amdouni of Burnley. Everybody else is considered.
There's your answer.
Sure, Spurs will go and buy him. Spurs will go and buy him.
But to be fair, that's just like this. That's how they judge it, because it's like Son was considered a right-footed player, but he could play on both feet. It's just how they consider it, right?
Why Scout is showing you if a player has a preferred foot, not whether
I'm being sarcastic, but that's like technically you can pick footed, right or left. Or
what about Sean? Can you do a search like for who's actually like realistically available?
No.
As a number 10.
What do you mean realistically? We can
like in terms of like the top 20 number 10s right now in youngsters.
Yeah, I'll call them out. Okay, what? But below the age of what?
23.
Why? Why do they have to be below the age of 23?
Because we're not going to go and get someone who's above 23, are we?
We just signed Kudus, who's above 23. Paulinho's above 23. Eze was 27.
Yeah, but I'm saying who's available.
Okay, so I'll call out the based on market value, 10s in the game. Bellingham, no chance. Phil Foden, no chance. Musiala, no chance and injured. Florian Wirtz already moved. Cole Palmer, no chance. Xavi Simons hasn't yet gone. If you could go and force that one,
he'd be the best one out of everyone.
Soberslai, James Maddison, Nkunku, Paqueta, Grealish, Danny Olmo, Kulusevski, Eze, Rafinha, Xerxes, Kudus, Coop Miners, Garnacho.
Coop Miners.
Yeah. Sometimes this includes like players that can play there, but also play roles, right? So Gula from Real Madrid, João Pedro, Mateus Cunha, Julian Brandt, Brace Mendes of Sociedad. He's a baller, by the way. Brace Mendes is a baller. Gibbs White, Lookman, Pulisic. By the way, Pulisic, Bissouma, Oyen Sunset. So most of these have already gone or are happy. The ones that you can probably get.
Patrick Kluivert. He's a player that.
Yeah, I was thinking of Kluivert, but
he's about 55.
Justin Kluivert, you mean? Yeah.
Sorry, Justin Kluivert. Yeah.
He's not really.
Patrick will be good up front. Patrick Kluivert's better than Solanke.
Hey, I've always thought this. It's a quick question to the panel. Is Phil Foden truly out of reach? Because he strikes me as a player that wants to start every week. Do you think he's completely no chance?
Didn't he start today, Foden?
No, he came on.
No.
He was laughing his head off on the bench when we were 2-0 up. He was laughing his head off.
I'd take Julian Brandt. I'd take Julian Brandt.
Brandt, good option. Lookman, I want.
Just quickly,
Lookman's 40 million as well.
I do not understand for the life of me why Tottenham are not looking at him. If you watch when we've had in all 3 games, right, PSG, Burnley, and especially today, or especially PSG, like if you take Kudus out of that team, like what happened in the last 20 minutes of the PSG game, we have no outlet, none at all. And also the chemistry that's emerging between Kudus and Richarlison is really impressive.
Richarlison,
Ademola Lookman is literally a carbon copy of Kudus. They're the same height, the same physicality.
I don't get it, Sean. I don't get it.
It's a no-brainer, Sean. I agree with you.
Hey, Sav, is there any way you could bring up his...
What, you mean you don't get it as in, like, why we're not signing him? I agree.
A London-born lad.
With every manager he's had, though, recently.
A London-born lad. His stats for the last 3 years are superb. He's like he's basically on 20 GA a year for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
We know he's a big game player because he scored a hat-trick in the Europa League final for...
counts as homegrown.
Right, no. Homegrown. Yeah. Right.
Atalanta
there's only like
what's his current wages? Right? What's his current
40 million euros.
Very affordable.
35 million pounds for a player. Isn't he like they want 40 million of him, right?
Wages. Then I'll tell you if we can get him.
Sure, am I mistaken? They want 40 million euros. That's what I've read. Inter Milan weren't willing to meet 50 million euros, but Atalanta didn't want to sell him to a rival.
To me, the only thing I can put it down to is that their agent has been shopping him around. There's 2 concerns. Right. One is that I don't know, but apparently he's had an argument and a fallout with Gasperini on several occasions. Their new manager, so he's a bit of a dickhead, maybe, or maybe not, but like just happy to have a row. Put it that way, which could be a problem. And if Thomas Frank said doesn't like the dickheads, I think the other concern, I think it's relevant, but I'm not sure it's accurate. Is he didn't smash it out of the park when he was at Charlton, Everton, or Leicester. He was okay in the Premier League back then, but that was quite a long time ago. And so there's the argument: has he gone away and improved to the point that now he comes back?
Yeah.
Also, you could probably use the same. You could probably use.
People might say he's just a horses for courses guy, and that you.
I know it's not the same. I know it's not the same level, right? But just look at what happened with Salah when he went to Italy. And he did very well. And then he came to the Premier League, back to Premier when he was older. And then look the rest is history with Salah. I'm not saying he's going to be Salah level. I'm just saying that, and De Bruyne, he's gone away. He's consistently proved how good he is in a high level, right? Yeah. Who's been instrumental in important games to actually win trophies. And then he's in his prime now. So it's like, why don't you go get someone in his prime?
I think he is. I used the Y Scout back at the start of the summer and dialed up my version of what I thought all left wingers should be. I said this 1,000 times. There was 3 names that popped up. consistently, no matter how many times I dialed and fucked around with the filters, excuse my French, 3 names that popped up were Garnacho, Lookman, and Anthony Gordon. And you're not going to get Gordon. No. Garnacho is probably, I don't know. I mean, I personally, if Savinho falls over and whatever reason they don't want to get Lookman, I'd still be okay with Garnacho. I think he's a super
better than what we got.
Much better than what we have. And if Thomas Frank has a conversation with him and thinks that he can get the best version out of him, and by the way, Cochrane and Garnacho worked together, right, when he was at Manchester United.
True.
So they have a history. So
44k, by the way, Lookman is on 44,000 euros a week.
It's like a Daniel Levy special. That I don't understand it.
If we sign Lookman and Paqueta, that would be a fantastic window. You know that.
Yeah,
if we sign
agree
those
with
two now, it will be a fantastic window.
I just think
even if we sign,
is it not? You know how some players are sexy. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't mean I don't mean in a kind of
the name.
Look at him.
He is Kudus on the left. And he can play in the centre forward role, by the way.
I was going to ask you, would you be happy if it was he was the number 10 at a limit? We bring in Lookman and we bring in Savio as well. Just say hypothetically, would you be happy with that window? Savio is the left winger, Lookman is the number 10, and Kudus on the right.
Well,
I would. I don't think Lookman's a 10 personally.
No, neither do I.
I know he's not, but this is.
Yeah. There you go. This is Lookman. This is Lookman in his career, right? It tells you where he's played. And then if we scroll down a bit, you can see that in the left wing position is where he normally plays, 29 goals, 7 assists. As a second striker is where he's actually got most of his. Look at his stats as a second striker.
And he's a different type of striker as well.
Yeah, GA every other game, right?
Do you know what?
GA every other game.
I would sign him regardless of where we play him because he is such a versatile player.
Absolutely.
And we need quality in the depth in the team. He'd be perfect because
the most
he everywhere.
The most important, all that versatility stuff aside, like 100% agree with you and all that. But the most important thing for me is what happens to Tottenham if Mohamed Kudus goes down with a.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying
right now.
Yeah.
You have no other outlet. Whereas with Lookman,
100%.
you can have 2 outlets on the pitch at the same time, or you can use them interchangeably if you wanted to. And at least then you have like a backup for that because he's Kudus and Lookman are like they basically brothers from another mother almost. You know, it's like they play the same. They look in terms of their size, their height, they're stocky as hell. I mean, when Lookman was in the Premier League, he was a slight frame, but he's gone away and he's found some creatine.
That's going to make a difference.
He's grown up. But this is what I mean. There's players out there like and the Inter Milan deal apparently has fallen through because they can't afford 40 million. 40 million. 40 million. We bought Archie Gray for 40 fucking million. Are you telling me we can't go and get Ademola Lookman for 40 million?
True. Like, I completely agree with that.
If I was Spurs, I'd go and get. I don't know about you guys.
Imagine Lookman score like 7 goals in the Champions League last year.
He got Lookman got 7 GA in 7 games in the Champions League last year. The year before, he got a bucket load in the Europa League as well. He's got loads of goals and assists in Serie A the last few years. Everything about him works. But imagine we signed him and Savio.
Oh, it'd be class.
You could constantly rotate between Lookman and Kudus as to who goes in the 10, who goes on the wing, which Savio, Kudus, and Lookman can all play multiple positions.
You could not play Lookman as a number 10. I'm telling you now.
I just showed you. But Benji,
go look at his passing percentages. It's shocking.
But Benji, I've just shown you his data where most of his GA comes from playing as the second striker in the 10 role. So why couldn't he play
Benji, I think when you look at those FP refs, mate, you have to bake in the context of the environment.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
As a left winger, your passing percentages are going to be a lot different to what you would get in the 10 because or midfielders. Like when you see a player that has 2 tabs where you can compare them to attacking midfielders or wingers and also midfielders because they played minutes in both positions, then the stats always look skewed because half of the season or however many minutes in the season he'll have been playing in one position doing a certain type of role, and then in the other half he'll have been doing a different position in a different type of role. And so when you're then comparing that person to all midfielders who have been predominantly used in the same position the entire season, then their stats are going to be skewed. So you can get like outperformance in one.
The other plus you've got, you look at, I mean, I saw Lookman in the Premier League and he was okay. He was sort of very patchy, wasn't he? He's gone over to. He's gone abroad. I mean, I watched him in that that Europa League final.
He was unbelievable.
When
Keep him off the penalties, right?
And they destroyed Leverkusen. It was the only game Leverkusen lost all season. And when you look at what Frank's coaching has done for several players in our club in 7 weeks, you know, when you look at what Lookman is capable of, what Frank can take him to, for me, is a major plus. And if he's going to cost 40 million, 50 million, I don't think we should, at this stage of the season, you know, we're fans. We just want to see our players on the pitch. The money's there. They were talking about Eze, Hincapié and Savinho for virtually 200 million. So if we're talking about paying them 50 or a 40, the money's there. Why are we so worried about whether the money's going to be there? If we spend an extra 10 or 20 million, we're not going to go bankrupt, but we've got an asset on the pitch. And that's what
if Thomas Frank doesn't want him, I'm sure that name has come up in conversation, and the scouting and the technical team have come to their conclusion, whether it's he's third choice, or we'll come back to it later, or it's not for me. You know, like I'm sure, like we're not the only people in the world that have considered Ademola Lookman to Tottenham. You'd hope that conversation's been had at the club, and I'm sure it's not money that's putting them off. I'm sure it's probably is he the profile that Thomas Frank wants? It's interesting because Thomas Frank has obviously clearly said that Savio's my guy. He's my dream player, and he's nothing like Ademola Lookman. Nothing at all like him. True. You know? So maybe Thomas Frank has got a specific type of player in his mind, and Ademola Lookman isn't that guy. Maybe because he's a bit of a donut, or maybe just because he's not that sort of player.
Fellas, it's always a pleasure. Take care.
Really appreciate it. Enjoy your evening.
Take it easy, Benji.
Bye.
See you, mate.
By the way, Soul Sniper, you are desperately, I was seeing in every one of your posts trying to get El Canoes in. I'm going to be brutally honest. If Spurs have the embarrassment of losing out on Eze to Arsenal from Palace, I will find it even more embarrassing if we then need to go and steal the player that Palace want to sign. That, for me, would be, I don't know, maybe this is just me, that would be really embarrassing. There's a reason why he's in talks with Crystal Palace. I'm sorry. If we're going to start saying players like El Canoes is what we want our club to do in a transfer window, then what I don't want Soul Sniper Gaming is from people like you is as the season goes on, start criticising, because we've got loads of El Canoes. We've got loads of players that age. Can we not start looking a little bit? Sorry, panel, am I being a bit obtuse here? But like, surely Palace is that level, like Dibbling, Everton, Canoes, Palace. Surely we're better than this, aren't we?
Surely. Yeah, but Adam Wharton went to Palace, and look how that worked out, right?
Sure, but Adam Wharton's a much better footballer than El Canoes. Like, I know they're different positions, but again, he's gone
I don't want El Canoes.
I don't want El Canoes either, by the way. I think he's a highlight merchant personally, but you know,
a really left field buy would be, and he's too old. But if you just want him just for this season or maybe a couple of seasons, Mario Götze from Frankfurt, he'll be cheap. He'll come.
Isn't he quite injury prone though, Mario Götze?
He is. Well,
quality player.
He's a quality player, but he is. But it's a stopgap, isn't it? Until you get the player that you really want.
Frankfurt have been absolutely pillaged, though, haven't they? They've the last 2 years, every player that they have. But he's like, I don't know. The same with Leverkusen, like poor old Leverkusen. They lose Xavi Alonso, and then that one by one, all of their talent gets absolutely robbed from them. You know, but he's a very good player, Götze. But I think he is a bit injury prone.
Can I just clarify?
All of our players are injury prone anyway.
I just want to clarify on the El Canoes thing. It's not that I think he's a terrible player, by the way. I just feel like there's got to be levels to this. Otherwise, there's no point in qualifying for the Champions League. You know, we all sit there going, we want to win trophies. We all sit there going, oh my God, we got Champions League. Oh, we've got this massive stadium. But then we've got fans that go, El Canoes is who I want. That, for me, guys, feels like a signing we should be making if we're not even in Europe, let alone in the Champions League. And I'm not saying Palace haven't signed good players. Eze went there, Elise went there, yes. But they went there, got their grounding, and then got their big move. I just feel like it would be really underwhelming, and it would show that we had zero fucking plan if El Canoes is our player. Sorry, that's just me. Maybe I'm harsh, but I don't want him.
But Savva, we let's be honest. We had our plans. We had our A, B, C, and we've lost out on all of them. Well, Morgan Gibbs White, plan A, failed. Plan B, Eze or Savio, right? Plan C, what's his face? The second one, Morgan Gibbs White, Savio, and Eze.
Yeah, but surely you don't just like drop Eze and Morgan Gibbs White down to El Canu. Surely that's what.
No, it's Savio as well, right? What I mean is, we've had our plan A, B, and C. We failed on.
Yeah, but that's different positions. Then you can't tell me that our scouts for a year have been scouting or however long, and that they've come back with it's either Gibbs White, Eze, or El Canoes. Like that would be. That's really poor, and the scouting team should be sacked immediately.
But Savva, no, I'm going to take issue with it. We've always been like that. We've always done that.
Maz, I couldn't find fuck if that's how we've always been. That should not be what we're doing. I'm not sorry. I don't think they should charge. Get into the Champions League, and then again we're going to a relegated club, taking a player who was decent, but again it just for me would stink of we've panicked. This is what we've done.
No, I agree with you. Savva, I don't think we're arguing against each other from the sense.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Both that. It's just this is what Tottenham does. This is what we do all the time. I want to stop doing.
Yeah, like if we're going to say,
got to speak to Sean so he can tell his chairman to sort it out.
I just think if you're going to do that, go and get someone like an Akalouche. Do you know what I mean? Like that's 10 times the player of El Canoes. Yes, he's going to be double the fee, but he's double the fee for a reason. Do you know what I mean? This is a France international. This is
why I don't agree with Savva, right? If Paz is available, he is an upgrade on what we currently have. I would suggest even with his breakout season, he's still an upgrade on what we currently have. If he's available, we should get him.
But this goes back to the question I asked: is Frank here to build his team, or is he here to just get through each season?
I think he's here to build a team and a squad still.
Then you can't go and buy a player that's.
You have to do a bit of both, because ultimately, if he can't get the players he wants in for 12 months, but that means he's going to have a bad season, then it's not viable, is it? So you've got to kind of manage both situations.
Hang on, Chris, why did you say a bad season? When you look at the players he's got, and he's missing 4 or 5 players today as well.
Yeah, just a hypothetical, Lubo.
No, but why would he have a bad season?
Well, because none of us can predict the future, right? Who knows?
Yeah, but,
none of us can sit here and guarantee that we're going to be top 6, right?
We can't predict the future, but you predicted a bad one.
I didn't predict anything.
No, he didn't. He asked a hypothetical question. That's all he did.
What was the question, Chris? What was the question asked?
So your question was, is he here to build or is he here to sort of get through each season, right?
Yeah.
I said, if it comes down to waiting to build and get the right players in means that you're going to have a bad season or a bad enough season that he might end up paying the price for that, then you can't afford to wait, right? So you've got to balance both situations and judge now, do I have enough in to get me through or not?
Yeah, but you balance a bad situation by doing what he's doing now, which is coaching the current crop really well. This is what.
But you can't do that for a whole season. Like you can't.
Haven't we all just said that we desperately need players in?
See, hang on, Chris.
If we want to do well, yes, we want to do well.
Chris, the thing for me is this is what Danny and I had the conversation about is, and I don't want to bring Ange into it, but I'm going to have to, is when you have an injury crisis and something bad happens, adapt and change. I get it. You got to muddle through. But there's a huge difference between doing that and asking a manager to coach versus not having the tools to start a season. Like if you go into the season without a playmaker, and we know this manager plays with a playmaker, he always has at Brentford. He's always played with one, right? He had Ericsson in there, Damsgaard in there. He plays with a playmaker, right? If you are going into the season and going, go on, coach. You can't just coach people to be playmakers. Like this whole thing that people are throwing at him because he's a coach, just go and coach. He'll coach, but you need specialists. You've got to
If we
have the
don't
players
sign-
you need.
So you would spend £70 million on a player that isn't part of his long-term plan just so that we don't have a bad season this season, though.
But how good
How
a
do you know
season
he's
will we
not part
have?
of the long-term plan? Like,
Because I
Let's
just said
say
to you, he's one-sided. He only plays on the left side of
they
of his
all are
body.
still. I still haven't been given examples of top players that are both
No, they're
sided.
not.
James Maddison's
Modric. Yeah, but he can play on the. He can play through balls on the right. He can play balls over the top. Watch Nico Paz. Nothing comes off that.
I'm
right
not
foot.
talking about Nico Paz. I'm talking about any of them. Nico Paz, Akalouche.
Yeah, but that was. Yeah, but I was talking about Nico Paz. Like this is what I was saying to you. This is what I'm saying. You could sign Nico Paz. If you go and give £70 million for this guy, we can get him. I've £70 million signed him, but in my opinion, you'd be signing him so we don't have a bad season this year. But now you've got a £70 million player that's with you for the build.
Yeah, but
he's
he's
a
a
good
good player. Right? Like, he's not going to
He's
suddenly
limited.
next summer we go, oh, Paz, see you later.
Can I
No,
put
but
a
he's-
scenario, Stel, on the flip side to that? Let's say we can't get his player till next season, so we don't sign a central attacking midfielder. On the first day of the transfer window being shut, Kudos does his cruciate and he's out for 12 months. How good a season do you think we're going to have then?
Bang on.
No, but I've said we need 3 players.
Yeah, but your argument is, do we sign those players if they're not who he wants, right? If they're who he wants.
I think you misunderstood me, guys. I wouldn't spend big sums of money on players that aren't part of the build of the long-term build.
Then you probably get an El Canoes, right?
Well, yeah, but I would spend 20, 30, 35 on a player just for this season, like we did with Paulinho. He's not going to be the long-term
We're just building more Deadwood, but we're just building more
No.
Deadwood.
But Savva, hold on. We brought in Paulinho on a loan. It makes perfect sense. It doesn't cost us a lot of money, and we've got a really good player. He's not going to be the future of the project because he's too old. We're going to end up buying a proper 6 who's younger and has got his future ahead of him.
So all transfers should be a loan in an ideal world. All transfers should be a try before you buy it in an ideal world, right?
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
I don't understand.
But that's not what we get.
I don't understand why Paz would only be for 1 year. I don't. Look, by the way, hang on, hear me out. I'm not championing. Oh my God, it must be Paz. By the way, I'm not. I'm just saying. Right now, we are in a position where we are going into a season with no playmakers. Like both of our playmakers are out until February at least. Right? That is negligence of the highest order. If we start a season in August and say, go on, Frank, muddle through until February in
Savva,
4 competitions.
An emergency situation. Look, this is not what I want, but you know who's currently a free agent?
Go on, Ericsson.
Yeah.
Dele Alli's going to say.
I knew you were going to say Christian
Eriksen.
What Spurs should be doing is one of 2 things. Either identify the player that is going to be your 10 for the long term, for Frank's build, and just go and get that player, or do what we did with Paulinho, which was brilliant. Go and find a good player on a loan deal and just plug him in there for a season.
Hold on, Paulinho's only 30. He could be a brilliant player for the next 3-4 years.
It's probably more likely though that we're going to sign someone a bit younger though for that.
He's not, but sixes are not players that the sort of player that he is not a player that's going to get old very quickly like a Sonny. He's a sort of player that just almost invisible. A proper 6. Think about Claude Makelele. Think about N'Golo Kante. Think about Caicedo today. They're not people that get the headlines. They're not people that run around 15 miles in a game. They're people that are just there in the right position. Their intelligence, their footballing IQ, and their ability to read the game is the most important part. And then obviously the way that they mop up any mistakes or any opportunities that the opposition brings against us. Someone like Paulinho, I agree with you, mate. I think Paulinho could easily have three more years at the top in him.
Easy. Yeah.
A Grealish.
Easily.
If that's the case, brilliant. Then we've solved the number 6 problem. We've solved it. If that's what's going to happen, then we've solved the problem. Fantastic, job done.
I think you've at least got that time Archie Gray develops to become the guy behind him, right?
The guy. Do you know what, guys? I have to say, right, Luba. I know you're going to get a bit upset now. watching. Yeah, you can't help it.
We've
right?
got 2 hours and 4 minutes, and he's about to be mentioned. Strap in, everyone.
Watching all last season, all I heard from everyone is Gray isn't played in his correct position. Ange has never played Gray in his correct position. You know, no wonder Gray's gone to shit. He's not been playing in his right position. Watching Paulinho today in the 6, the gulf between Gray and Paulinho is ridiculous, man. No one's going to expect me Gray's position to 6. Paulinho is a 6. The difference is gigantic, man. Massive.
Gray's not a number 6.
Oh,
Paulinho, the gap is huge.
They're different types of players. They're different types of players, aren't they? There's different versions of defensive midfield.
But Paulinho was immense today, and I
think there needs to be. Still, is what you're saying. Let me try and paraphrase. I might be misreading. For me, I still think there needs to be a middleman between Paulinho and Gray. I don't think you can go from Paulinho. Hang on, he's out injured for 3 months. Gray's I agree. If that's what you're saying,
you need a Paulinho for games like City away, Liverpool away. Away at Real Madrid, away at Bayern. I mean, you don't need a Paulinho for the Burnleys at home. You don't need a Paulinho for the Leeds United. You don't need a Paulinho for those sorts of games.
The championship games.
No.
The championship teams.
No, it's a horses for course. I could throw in other teams as well. Fulham, West Ham. Like you don't like. I'm saying that there's.
Against Fulham. It depends if you're playing some of these teams away, Sean.
They're different. Well, yeah, but the horses for courses, right? Away from home in certain games where you need a strong battling midfield, and you don't need someone who's going to be spraying passes into the channels with absolute accuracy all the time, because that's not Paulinho's role. Paulinho's role is just to win it back and then give it to someone else that can do more with it. Whereas Archie Gray is a different type of 6. And so what I'm saying is that in certain games where you're going to have more possession, but you need to be more creative in horseshoe football environments, you might prefer to have an Archie Gray. And then other games where you're going away to Newcastle or at home against Newcastle, where you've got that ridiculous strength in their midfield, Archie Gray is going to get run through like a knife through hot butter. But Paulinho is the guy there. So I just think that sometimes you need, you don't need a winter jacket in the summer, do you? But you do need it in the winter. So I think that in your closet, you need to have different types of players.
Correct.
Archie Gray, if he'd come through our youth system and we hadn't spent 40 million on him, he'd be out on loan now, the same as Alfie Devine and Jamie Donnelly.
You're right. But listen, I don't want a huge Archie Gray debate. I can't. But it is telling, isn't it?
No, I had to mention it because Paulinho today was outstanding. For me, he was our man of the match. In my opinion, he was our best player.
Still,
isn't it more telling still that Sarr has overtaken Gray and Sarr and Bergvall in the pecking order?
Well, you've stolen my thunder, Savva, because I was going to say, really, we should be grooming Sarr to be the number 6 because he's got such an engine on him. He can cover so much ground. I think that for me,
Sarr's better a bit higher up the pitch, Maz. I don't think he's too deep for him.
I agree.
Yeah, but I was talking more about everyone all year has been talking about Bergvall. It's very clear early doors that Thomas Frank sees Sarr as. Let's be fair. If I'd done a poll, right, midsummer before we played this preseason game, if I'd said who's higher in the pecking order, Bergvall or Sarr, what would the poll have said?
Bergvall. Everyone was saying everyone in the midfield is sellable apart from Bergvall.
Right. And that's why I trust my coach. That's why I trust
Pape Sarr has emerged as an I think his footballing, I think I've said it a few times, his ability to intercept, the way that he can pick the passes out. People put that down to his just rangy legs and his ability to cover ground. But actually that starts with being able to read the game, which is footballing IQ. He's clearly someone that needs to be nurtured, and there's a ridiculously good player in there. But he still needs to work on his passing. Sometimes his final ball can be really disappointing and frustrating.
Is it fair to say that Sarr is now realising his potential? That we're all excited.
Early days, but yeah.
When he joined for £12 million. I mean, it's a steal, an absolute steal.
But he was quoted as a Yaya Toure type player when he was a youth player. Do you know one thing?
That's why I don't see the problem with him being in that number 6 role.
He's wasted.
He's a box to box, and for all the reasons Sean just said, right? He covers a lot of ground. His interception, he reads the game. He's everywhere. surely he should be able to do it. He's versatile.
So Sar's biggest quality is he has the best engine of any midfielder we've got.
But you see today,
the coach at Spurs said to me, he will always get game time because he's just got an engine that no other player at Spurs has got. When they do all the, where they wear the mask with the tube and they do all the what's it called, VO2 max training, zone 2 training, where it's like the ultimate cardiovascular capability. How much can your lungs consume oxygen and pump it out? He wins every time. Every time he clears the floor.
But in today's game, and all of the three midfielders had incredible games. But I kept thinking, like, Bentancur, with his quality, needs to be further up the pitch. That's what I felt today.
Yeah, but the problem is,
it still takes too many touches.
Sar's pressing and his contributions to the goal so far this season and pressing, if he was lower down the pitch, Paulinho and Bentancur haven't got that in their legs, right, to do that. That's why I think he's using Sar higher up. I think the more important point was, I don't know who made it earlier, but I think maybe Lubo. The important point is when you do get a playmaker, and bloody hell, we best get a playmaker in the next 8 days, right? It's going to be, they can't all play. But what a lovely problem to have, right? Paulinho and Bentancur this week. Next week, Paulinho needs a rest. All right, Sar and Bentancur. All right, Bentancur needs a rest. Paulinho and Sar. And I think Bergvall and Gray are going to have to bide their time, especially Gray. He is going to have to bide his time. And my concern, guys, with a Gray, I've said this all along, is he going to get enough starts? Especially you bring a playmaker in that now pushes him down to the 5th choice central midfielder. Only 2 can play. Hear me out, guys, right? Assume we've got a 10, right? You can only then play 2 central midfielders. If we're all going to say, let's be really honest, we're going to say our first choice 2 would probably be Paulinho Bentancur, right? Yeah. Then Sar and Bergvall. Yeah. Now we've got Gray. My worry is for a player like Gray, when we're all saying, learn, I get the theory, learn off Paulinho. I get it. It doesn't really mean anything if he can't get enough starts under his belt. That's always been my concern with Archie Gray, is he's not playing in midfield last year. How many games this year?
I think he'll start against Bournemouth.
See, I hope he doesn't. I hope.
I agree with you. I don't think he's ready either. I completely concur with everyone.
I really hope he doesn't.
I just think that, like, I don't think that. I believe that Thomas Frank sees Pape Sarr as the solution right now, a bit further up the pitch, and I think he's also be someone. If we do go and get a 10, I think Pape Sarr will be used in games where we need to pick passes off in the transition. Maybe comes off the bench in the 70th minute in certain scenarios because he's great in that sort of environment. But I think that if you've got I don't know, quote, I hate to say it out loud, but like a more of an expected win and a home tie like we have against Bournemouth, I think that you'll see, if it's not Bentancur in the 6, I think it will be probably Gray that will come in the 6, and unless he doesn't make it, and then you might see some other options come in. But I personally think that Frank sees the 6 options as Paulinho and Gray, the 8 options as Bentancur and Bergvall.
Oh,
and then Sarr at the moment in the 10, but then obviously Sarr can come on in different scenarios because of his versatility in certain scenarios if we get a 10. So that's the way I see it. But
youngsters do not develop without match. Guys, no young football player develops without regular minutes. None.
Sean, that's always been my point. It's always been my point.
This is why Gray needs to go on loan.
Sean, what was your assessment of Bentancur and the position he played today? Because today, Bentancur, for me, played like a 6. He wasn't an 8 today. And I would rather see him in an 8. I agree with you. But I never see him do it. And I find that really frustrating.
Too many times, generally. I'm not Bentancur's biggest fan, but I do think he grows into games. And I think there's some sort of, I think someone was saying on my channel, when Bentancur plays well, Tottenham play well. I think that, I don't know.
Today, Sean, he grew into the game today.
I think he grew into the game, but I think that the whole team did. I thought the first 25 minutes we were under the cosh. The only thing I can remember that was positive in terms of an opportunity for Tottenham was the free kick in the first half an hour that Porro blasted into the wall and then smashed it into the side netting. Yeah. After about the half an hour mark, we just sort of grew in confidence. And I think that we realised pretty soon that if you can nullify Rangers, take him out of the game, and then you saw Helenia basically man-mark Cherky, and then they took away that credit, that creativity. They were forced to go on the right-hand side to Oscar Bob. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have spoken about Jedley King today, Jed Spence, but
no, not spoken about him yet.
I think he's absolutely top fucking draw.
If Adogi walks straight back into this 11, I will have issues.
He won't.
He won't, so because Frank is not like Ange.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know he won't. I think he's levels above Adogi. I think he is absolutely levels above him. And this is his wrong foot. This is his wrong foot, and he's better than our
Savva, I've always had the argument with Spence, right? That to me, when I've seen him play, he seems to play better on the left than he does on the right. And the reason I have the argument is because he has to focus more because he's not on his preferred foot, right? He's not on his preferred foot. So there's like when I watch him play, I see more focus in him when he plays left back than he does at right back. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, look, I class Sean. I mean, I saw a funny somebody tweeted earlier and said we're going to need to get Jed Spence some custom made trousers that has got more pockets for all of the wingers that he keeps collecting in them.
That's why he wears his shorts around his like below his arse.
Do you know what Spence does really well? If you watch him play, now we've got a 6. Is perfect because he never lets the player go on the outside of him. He'll either win the ball or he forces them inside. And when you force a player inside and you've got the 6 there, you basically, we call it, you're forcing him into the traffic. Go into the traffic, no problem. But I don't want you to go into the space behind. Players don't get past Spence on down the flanks. They always have to.
It's because of that fine line still. As I believe, again, I think we spoke about this on Spurs 5. I think that it's a very difficult skill set to be tracking back, knowing that you'd rather the guy coming on your stronger side, but not showing them so much of the room on the outside that they can just sort of knock it past you and then beat you on the acceleration. So you got, and that we're talking inches here. Whilst you're backtracking, of managing to show him just enough to force him to want to come into your stronger side, but not too much that makes it easy for them to bang it past you on the outside. And I think it's such like an understated skill, and it's difficult to kind of observe. But I think he has I think it just comes so naturally to him. I don't want to see him on the right side. So I think on the right side, if he's doing the same thing, he shows people the same thing, and they're coming in onto his weaker side on the left.
It's kind of why I said he's better on the left.
I think he's much better on the left. Much better on the left.
He's a very good 1v1 defender.
Incredible.
I thought he was really good going forward today. I thought that there was the basis of a good link up with Johnson. It's just that when they combined, it tended to fall down when it got to Johnson. I think if you got someone better there, I thought he was a really good outlet for us going forward as well. He needs someone
like
better.
Savio and Spence down the left and Kudus and Porro down the right. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree. Guys.
Go. Quick point. I sort of came up with it. I had like a bit of a thought earlier. Like we all criticised Brennan Johnson because of his input is weak, right? He doesn't obviously do anything during the game, but he's very good at getting in the right position at the right time for the finish. Do you think that like his weakness is actually his strength in that because he's no threat with the ball during the build-up, and every team knows that we go down the opposite side to wherever he is. Last season when he was on the right, we would go down the left via Sonny. This season when he go down the right, he's on the left-hand side. And because there's no threat there, it allows opposition teams to sort of try and double up in other areas by kind of not treating him like he's a threat. But then because of that, he gets to have a free drift into the back post without really being tracked. And so that's how you get that space. So almost like by not being a threat, he's actually a threat. You know how Thomas Frank says, if you don't take any risk, you're taking a risk. Kind of, I feel like with Jed Spence, because he's got no threat, he's actually
so you're saying because he's so shit, no one bothers to mark him.
Basically, yeah. Basically,
Sean, that must have been the longest explanation for that I've ever heard.
Sean, I'll tell you my biggest frustration today with Johnson.
Why say in a word when you can spread over 1,000?
My biggest frustration today wasn't so much that there were a number. I don't know if you saw this on TV or not, but there were a number of times when we'd won the ball back and we're looking for an out ball, and they look towards Johnson and he's just walking in an offside position. So there's no out ball there. There was one point where I saw Romero have a go at him, and he's like, "What are you doing? We're trying to get out of defence, and there's you can't play the ball to him."
I know. Chris Romero pinged the ball over, and Johnson was coming back, and he was offside, and he had to leave it. Yeah. I think the only negative, I think defensively with Spence, 1-on-1, absolutely superb. The problem is, and we saw this today as well, is that when he goes forward, he has to check back onto his right foot. Instead of, when you have an opportunity, you get down the line, you go outside the fullback and you whip it in. You know, the way that Kudus did for Richie's first goal last week. And you don't get that with Spence because he's on his wrong side. And that's the negative going forward. Personally, if they could fit it in, if Frank could sort the system out, if you had Spence, then Porro, then Kudus down that right, I think that would be absolutely a fantastic right-hand side that would cause so many problems for so many people. Because Porro technically is superb. And I think he is, although he's improved massively defensively, I think Porro attacking-wise is excellent. Kudus, we've seen what he can do. And Spence 1-on-1 and defensively on the right. I think that right side.
Kudus saved Porro's arse a few times today, dropping back. You know that.
Yeah.
Kudus really did save Porro a few times.
Tasmanian devil.
If he could,
just so you all know, Lubo didn't want Kudus. I'm just throwing that out there.
No, what I said to you was
no.
Yes, you did. You said play Archie Gray right wing.
No, what I said was that if you get the Kudus from last year, it's no good because his attitude. If you get the Kudus from 2 years ago, he'll be fantastic. And that's what I said because he had one very good year.
By the way, guys, I'll dig out the WhatsApp. That is not what Lubo said to me in any way. I've got West Ham mates. I'm not sure about this one. I don't think we should be getting him. Lubo. Come on.
I followed Kudus. I followed Kudus since he joined Ajax when I used to watch Ajax a lot. Right, he when his transformation in a few years to where he got to when he became the star player, he was phenomenal. He was unbelievable, and I couldn't believe that we actually signed him. To be honest, he's going to go like that. He's going to go like that. That's his
Danny. Can I also add that 2 years ago, 2 players were put forward to Ange. One was Kudus and one was Johnson, and Ange picked Johnson.
Can I speak about Johnson, right?
That's
on Monday's show.
And then after this, I do need to wrap up the show, just so you know I do.
Yeah, cool. On Monday's show, I tried to argue to say, can we play without Johnson? Because as much as he's awful, he's in the right place at the right time and he puts the ball in the back of the net. And I said, I think he might start against City. And Savva, you said, God, I hope not. And for most of the game against City, he did fuck all, right? He did absolutely nothing. But yet again, right place, right time. Listen, I can't.
So would it be fair to say right now he has to start games? I think the problem is if you go and bring in a Savio, Akalush, if you're bringing in those players, then Johnson drops down to the bench and becomes the last 20 minutes guy to come on and grab your goals.
In theory, you're 100% right. You're absolutely right.
You're not buying Savio and leaving Johnson on the left wing, are you? Let's be brutally honest.
You can't. It's stupid. Yeah. But he was our top goal scorer last season. He's currently the top goal scorer now, joined with Richie. You can't drop goal scorers. And this is, do you know what, guys?
When you buy better players,
I'm stuck with Johnson. If he keeps scoring, I find it. I don't know. It's like we're playing with 10 men, but he scores a goal.
I agree. But as I said to you on Monday night show as well, I think when we see the better players come in, right? Pause. When you see the better players in the club, you are going to notice the difference in the game all round as opposed to just grabbing the goal. And there's no reason why whoever comes in, pause, can't get the goal that Johnson's been getting, because that's the way Thomas Frank will get the goals out of the team, right? I don't disagree with you.
How many goals has Kudus scored? How many goals has Kudus scored? Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, case in point, exactly what Savva said. Kudus has done that. Albeit he's not scoring, but his all-round play has effectively elevated Richie. Richie's a much better player when Kudus is on the pitch.
Do you know what? Johnson's going to frustrate me this year. I know he's going to frustrate the hell out of me. I can tell. He's a very, very frustrating player to have at a club. You know that. He really is. He offers nothing, absolutely nothing, but he'll score goals randomly.
I'll finish on this, Lubo. In reference to Spence and his weaker foot, the great thing about Spence is he can use his left foot, right? Albeit it is his weak foot, and he's willing to use it. He does do passes with his left foot. So it's not so one-sided like Kulusevski, where he'll always use his dominant foot. And that's for me, that's a mark of a really good player.
Maz, I'm only talking about attacking-wise. Defensively, Spence is absolutely superb. On a one-on-one, he's probably our best defender in the club, along with Romero.
Guys, I do want to wrap up the show. By the way, everyone is asking me now, what is this pause stuff? The pause is used for if you say something that could be misconstrued and clipped to make it sound almost like a double entendre or very, very rude or sexual. If you say pause, it's to show that what you're saying is not the end. Like it's.
You've been hanging around with the crew. That's what you've been.
No, but it's true because some people have been clipped for saying things, and it sounds wrong. But listen, it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. I'm going to leave it there. Listen, it's a great day for Spurs. Just to let you know, I have just asked my mate, the old Chat GPT, and what they've said is there's 18 days, 16 hours, and 26 minutes of this transfer window to go. So just so you know,
18 days.
Sorry, 8 days. 8 days. Sorry, 8 days.
I thought you were going to ask Chat GPT, are we going to win the league?
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. The number of comments in my YouTube already. People can't celebrate a couple of wins. It has to go for, you know what? I reckon if we keep this up, okay, yeah, we're winning the league. Yeah, we're winning the league. Guys, thank you very much. I should do the super chats. Apologies, everybody. Let me do the super chats very, very quickly, and then we will wrap up the show so that everyone can get to their beds. No more Spursy, please. They said coaching every player looks better now. Back Thomas Frank. Absolutely. You've already seen a number of players that already look much better under Thomas Frank after one summer. Now imagine if you back the man. Big up to you. No more Spursy, please. Completely agree with you. Tottenham Trev said, I saw something in Sarr ages back. So happy for him. Yeah, listen, it's early doors, but if he continues like this, happy to turn around and go, I was wrong about Sarr. Absolutely. Be interested to see when we get the playmaker in, what happens to Sarr. Just interested. Big up to you, Trev. Really appreciate that. The 2 Mark show. Big up to whichever Mark this was. One of the old campaigners, one of the elder statesmen of the Spurs community. They should have called it the 2 Marks and Lubo show. Lubo could join. Big up to you for the super sticker. Really appreciate you, my man. Thank you very much. Nigel C. Thank you very much for the super sticker as well. Very, very generous tonight, you lot. And then another super sticker from No More Spursy, please. Thank you very, very much. Big up to you. Nicholas Walker said, with our squad, how seriously do we take the Champions League FA Cup? Listen, without going into a big debate about this, Nick, because otherwise we'll be here all day. I think this is the problem I've got at the moment, is it's okay at the moment when you're playing 1 game a week. If you're going to 2 games a week with this lack of depth and quality, we're going to start to unravel, in my opinion. That's why I think what Stel said, we need 3 more in minimum. I think we need 3 more quality players in the next week. We really do. Hey, that's just my opinion. Big up to you. George, thank you very much, George. Always very generous. Said Spurs was superb. Doesn't make our season, but I'm enjoying the moment. Your commentary was superb too, Savva. Stop it. Don't forget us when you're rich and famous. I'm not sure about that, mate. I'm not sure about that, but thank you very much. If I'm ever rich and famous, depending on the level of fame, you might not see me on YouTube. Just so you know. Big up to you, George. Thank you very much. Come back in again and said and gifted a Football Heritage TV membership. Thank you very much, George. Whoever got that, I'm sure said thank you. And I really do appreciate everything you do for the channel, mate. Thank you very much. 2 Mark show came in again. Said Paulinho and Benny screenings is a wonderful ting. Wonderful ting. Oh, when did you two turn into Ting, mad ting, innit? Yeah, absolutely, innit? Big up to you. Thank you very much, Mark. I completely agree. Both of them sitting in front of that back four really does offer protection. Collective Breaks has said the Forest Spurs saga continues. Ange to Forest. I am praying this happens.
Please.
I am
That'd be the best thing ever.
This happens. Right? This would make my summer. Forget Spurs signing anyone.
Yep.
This would make my summer, right? Ange going to Nottingham Forest and seeing all those Forest fans. I would love to see them.
Not even just seeing that, just seeing Wolfie's face. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. But I want to see Milenkovic and Murillo on the halfway line. I want to see those two on the halfway line.
And funny enough, you saw what Brentford did to those two at the Forest ground at back end of last season with 2 balls over the top for Charlotte to run on to.
Hilarious.
By the way, I don't want Nuno leaving Forest before we play West Ham, because Ange will go there, Nuno will go to West Ham, and Potter will be out. I can see that.
West Ham with or without Nuno. I'm not worried about West Ham. Come on, Nuno. I'm not worried about West Ham. Big up to you, Collective Breaks. Thank you very much. Please, everybody, hashtag Ange to Forest just for Wolfie. Phil P has said hashtag back Frank now or Levy versus me on 95% for water. Am I not reading that right? 95% for water. Oh, I see. Sorry, I've had a brain fart there. Yes, sorry for anyone that was at my house when Phil P was drinking 95% proof spirit. Wasn't he? It didn't even have. It wasn't like a whiskey, or it was just 95% alcohol. And he did 2 of them like a madman.
In true Phil P style.
In true Phil P, he went all Frank the Tank on us. He went streaking. Big up to you, Phil P. Thank you very much. Big up to Chop Cheese. I said that W had me queefing and farting mad today. Here he is, guys. Everyone knows him from the Spurs 5. Queefing and farting. What a lovely thought that is. Thank you very much, Chop Cheese. Really appreciate you, my man. Big up to @large Janice, who said Kudus is our best player by a mile. Listen, I think Kudus technically is our best player by a mile. I just want to see him with better players around him. So there's a little bit of, so he can actually express himself a bit more rather than, being the only one. But yeah, absolutely agree with you, my man. Thank you very much. Phil Coys, thank you very much. You also did 95% spirits. Disgusting. Big up to you guys. Thank you very much. And last but not least, NSG said, how many of our players can do long throws?
Odegaard had a go and made an absolute pig's ear of it. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. Danso's the king of it. And by the way, who was it earlier in the week that said I look like Alf? And if anyone doesn't know who Alf is, then you're clearly too young. Big up to you lot. I've been called worse. Than Alf. I used to get called, just before we go, guys, does anyone of you remember those little clip-on monkeys that used to go onto bags? Do you remember?
Yeah. People used to put them on their rear view mirrors in their cars as well.
Yeah. One night when I was working in Malia, like 20 years ago, they shaved all my hair off. I had like Gareth Gates style twizzled hair, and they shaved my hair off in the middle of the night and said I looked like a clip-on monkey. You can imagine how happy I was with that. Anyway, just on that little anecdote, Sean, thank you very much. Lubo, thank you very much. Maz, thank you very much. Stel, Chris, defending referees everywhere he goes, and Danny K. Big up to you lot. Please subscribe to Spurs Talk Show, Spurs 5, Tottenham away, and whoever Danny is part of these days, I have no idea. Please subscribe to everyone. Thank you very much. Much love. Take care. There'll be no lives from me tomorrow. No lives. I'm a busy boy tomorrow, maybe a video. So you'll have to just watch one of these other fantastic creators. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.